Alright, welcome to the show, The Milkmen. Here we go, podcast episode number 1. This is our pilot. You've got Dawson Brown, Kristopher Kennedy.
I'm Kristopher Kennedy.
That's who he is.
I'm a milkman.
Today we've got Bo.
What's up?
That's
Hey, Bo.
How's it going?
Alright. And, yeah, so we just got back from Tremont.
We did. I had a Gouda burger.
I had the Big Kahuna.
Ah, they're special for the month.
Yeah.
Bo?
I had the habanero wings. Let me tell you, those are a little hotter than I thought they were going to be.
I had a single wing, and the tears are still in my ducks.
You were sweating it. I saw.
Did you see
A
a
little
little bit of perspiration?
rolling off your lip there, yeah. Saw it.
So,
all right, well, hey, dudes, thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
You
It's
are
cool.
our first
I'm,
guest.
Totally honored.
It's an honor for us that
It
you
really
accepted
is.
our invitation.
All right.
We weren't expecting the exception.
Why not?
We drafted our email for you from what, like 12:30 until about 1:30. We
Yeah.
spent about 60 minutes on
I did note the kind of early arrival of it, but that's all good.
And
we want to be punctual, though.
Punctual. That's fantastic.
We were worried you might not accept, like you would
What?
you would be away on vacation, or it
Something,
might be
you know.
something like, oh, I'd love to, but I can't. I've got these obligations. But
No,
you have no
absolutely.
obligations. It appears.
I'm a teacher. It's the summer. I am planning some stuff. I'm working at school. I'm doing that stuff, but
You've even
It's
got
all
your
good.
comfort sandals on. That's how I knew it was going to be good.
dude, these can I give a shout out?
Yeah,
These
go ahead.
Sandals.
Go ahead.
All right, so these sandals are UFUs.
UFUs.
You know those like kitchen chef's mats that you stand on, and it's like the softest thing you've ever stood on.
Yeah.
That's these.
Wow.
Yeah.
This
No, I'm
podcast
sorry,
episode
I'm
is
not
brought to you
sponsored.
by UFOs.
No, we're not.
I'm
we're
not
not
sponsored.
sponsored by
We're not.
UFU.
No,
I want to
but
go ahead
these
and throw
things-
that out there.
I will just say they're
Unless they
they're
want to.
soft. They're really soft, and I enjoy it.
Nice. I knew it was going to be a relaxed day when I saw you flop in with those.
This is pretty much me,
Yeah.
man. I'm telling you.
Well, we can go ahead and dip into it.
Let's
We're
do
gonna
it.
Start with the passion corner.
All right.
Whatever you prepared for the in-depth explanation.
So first, I haven't really prepared anything because the thing when
Perfect.
yeah, it should be kind of extemporaneous.
Right,
But
I agree.
I was really stoked to see that this was kind of a topic for you guys
Yes.
because when I was about your age, about I would say 21, and or kind of a little further along in my studies, a friend of mine and I had an entire night's conversation basically about what the purpose of life was,
Wow.
and
That's deep.
we were feeling deep, right?
Right.
And so we like walked around. We were out late,
Mm-hmm.
as adults can be, and we were walking around our college, which was the Institution of Higher Learning here in Chattanooga, the UPC.
Yes.
And so we're just walking
Shout
around
out.
on campus. I mean, straight up, go Moms.
Hey, Dirty Birds.
Right,
How are
exactly.
you?
Dirty birds.
Anyway, that's it was an idea. We're in the intellectual ferment there. We're thinking about things and just talking about life and purpose and everything, and trying to figure out our purpose.
I feel you.
And so we come. I mean, a little before dawn, under this big magnolia tree, we come to the decision that life's purpose is passion. Right?
Wow. That's not a bad take. I don't think. I think
Because
that's pretty good.
That it allows you. It just says basically that the experience at that kind of like drive for something, that is what pushes you to have your life's purpose, whatever that happens to be. And so passion can be found in so many different forms. I mean, there's romantic passion, there's professional passion, there's intellectual curiosity, which can become a passion. And all of that works for whoever you happen to be. And passion is it. And I've always been in pursuit of passion.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really how you define life is like, I've become really interested. So you guys are passionate about having a podcast, I guess, right now.
Yeah.
And so this is a thing that you've really been focused on and living for, and it really makes life worth living. It gives you purpose. And when you find that, whatever that happens to be for you, that is the meaning of life, right? To find passion and push us forward. Because I think as small creatures, we would have been more curious about things, and that's kind of how we became what we are now. And to see that original curiosity as being the first passions, right? What does this do? And then it's interesting. You didn't just do it. You didn't just learn a thing. You thought it was kind of cool, and you did it again, and then you got better at doing it. And then all of a sudden it was something you liked to do, and then it became what you were.
Right.
You know, you were capable of doing this, or
Yeah.
and you built on that. So passion. I was really stoked to see that you guys were pursuing that as like a topic.
Do you think that passion can coexist with contentment? Or do you think that
Absolutely.
passion is always driving people beyond that point?
No, I think that passion is contentment. Like when you
Yeah.
fully find that passion for you.
Yeah.
And I won't say that it's going to be like one thing ever.
No.
You know, in fact,
not.
my whole life is like an example that I have pursued passion after passion after passion. And I find a new one and I become obsessed with it and I want to do it all the time. And I mean, maybe some people are like, well, I'm a consistency kind of guy and I like to do the same things every day. Well, that's cool. That's your passion, right? You know, I mean, that you're intent on being that one beautiful thing that you've decided to be. I want to find out what all these new things always are, you know? And truly, so this brings me around to my main point is that I think my truest passion is making connections with other people.
Right.
Right? That's been my like greatest joy in life. Like I find, even though when I'm out exploring a new passion, that I like that thing. So one year I did yoga all the time.
Yeah.
Like the greatest time of my life. I'll just tell you, if you have never done yoga consistently and thrown into it, just you got to do it.
Yeah.
But that was just one of my many passions, and I noticed in that time when I was able to be very reflective all the time, that people have always been the greatest passion of my life.
Well, like what you were saying, though, I
Yeah.
picked up on one certain thing where you were saying that you're always exploring a new passion. And I've
Always.
resented myself for not sticking to something deep enough and being that guy who's like, no, I do this. This is what I do. This is my task.
But being in
You know?
it, so to me, so this comes back to this other thing. So I had this friend in high school, right at the end of high school, college, and I will give him a shout out. He'll never hear this because I don't even know if he does electronic
won't
stuff. But his name's John Cornwell, and he said that
Big corn.
the quest. I love that you used a corn nickname because he was corn everything. Whatever it was.
'Cause it
corn
works.
daddy, corn dog, corn man.
Corn daddy.
Corn Daddy.
Yeah.
I like Corn
Shout
Daddy.
out to
Hey,
Corn
shout out to
Daddy.
Corn Daddy. If
He's
you're
the
listening,
man.
you know who you are.
No, he was the man because I know he's still out there pursuing passion.
Right.
Because his whole thing was the quest is the quest. There's no goal in the end.
I
It's to
vibe with
live
that.
it. It's
Yeah.
to live it as well as life. To quote Whitman, to suck the marrow out of
Love it.
life. Right?
Yeah.
You know,
It's like being swept up in the
Right.
rapture of
Exactly.
feeling alive.
And that's passion.
Yeah.
Right? That's it, right? So y'all are already exploring the meaning of life. It's just like you're on it, you know. And so my passion is finding those connections with people. And I think that at first I was driven out of school. After school, I became a river guide. And that was when I really started to learn how to connect to other people. Like I'd been kind of closed off in high school and not been, I would say like socially successful or anything. If you
Okay.
know, like rank hierarchies in school. But I had the inner circle, which was like this beautiful place of like
Sanctity.
like yeah, it was like where everything could just, you could talk, everything could be fine. You could
An open
enjoy.
space.
Yeah, exactly. Total acceptance. So I love that. But then I decided I kind of wanted to help people along the way. I don't know. I got into, so senior trip introduced me to outdoor stuff. I become, a raft guide the next year because the universe brings, I literally work as a server in a restaurant that has like 3 servers with another raft guide.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey dude, I just did this raft guide training. You should come up next year. So I do it because I had already connected with this NOC guide that I thought was really cool. And it was this kind of person that I wanted to, maybe not even, I don't know if I want to model myself after him, but just kind of see this lifestyle that this person was part of.
Not Tanner.
No, not Tanner. Shout out Tanner, NOC guy. Great guy.
Yeah.
You want him to guide you.
Tanner.
Yeah, you want him to be your
here's
guide.
my guy. Here's my guy.
Tanner's great.
Yeah.
Tanner, skinny calves, but he's great.
The girls thought he was hot, though. That was the word.
That's what I heard.
the
That was word on the street.
That's what I
Yeah.
heard up
Yeah.
until they started talking about his calves, and then it got a little dicey because they were like,
Can't be hating on calves. No, but no body shaming.
No body shaming.
No body
objectification.
shaming. But Tanner sucks. I mean, he's great.
Anyway, so I became a parent, because I did that, I learned about emergency medicine, and then because I wanted to just further myself in that, I took an NOC class, well actually a solo class that was offered at NOC, probably was my sophomore year in college, and I became a wilderness EMT, so I got into emergency medicine
That's a
then,
big step.
and I found that I was pretty good at just kind of handling myself in those situations.
Yeah,
Like, I
that's
just-
really helping people
yeah.
too.
I'd grown up with a father who had been an insulin-dependent diabetic, so I knew what medical emergencies were like and how
Yeah.
to just maintain calm in that. I think
Yeah.
that was a real easy way to get into it. So we're doing that. I'm river guiding. Eventually, I meet my wife, who was also a river guide. Shout out Tammy.
Hammy.
But like, so everything I am is part of what the senior trip did for me, by the way. So like, I met my wife there. I learned emergency medicine there. That drove me to want to help people. And so I became a paramedic. Eventually, I was paddling too hard, and I blew my shoulder out like twice, and I was on
That's
the
a solid
ambulance.
T grip.
Trying to do a roll? Or?
Solid T grip.
So I was in flipper and trying to just do a roll, and I just let it grab on me and just popped it clean
Rip
off.
that shoulder out.
Yeah, it's not good when you're a paramedic that has to lift heavy people.
Yeah.
So I went to the doctor. They're like, you got to get some light duty. I can't. There's no light duty on the ambulance. But my wife and I were able
Get that
to.
duty.
Yeah, I said duty. All right.
Can we censor that out,
forgettable,
Max?
Bo.
Can we
But
bleep out the
anyway,
duty?
No.
Bleep
All
the
right.
duty.
So yeah, the idea simply is that there was nothing I couldn't do it if I wanted to continue to enjoy myself with my body, which I think is like one of the greatest things. You know, like I've told y'all probably before, it's the greatest gift you'll ever be.
Your body is your temple.
Enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
You know, enjoy it. So I decided that I'd had this teacher named John Chu at Baylor who had been
Legendary John Chu. He's the most badass teacher in Baylor history, from what I understand.
He taught me AP Euro, and I was just like a lost puppy at Baylor, like really bad, you know. And Coach Chu was just one of those teachers, right, that just connected with me, and he was cool to me in a way that a lot of other teachers, I just couldn't relate to a lot of the other ones, but he just kind of saw me as a person instead of a student or somebody to be like hierarchical with.
Right.
I valued that.
It wasn't another exercise of authority for him.
Yeah, exactly. We were making a connection.
Yeah.
And I'd had that with a couple other teachers too there, but he was the one. So like he passed from the cancer. So he had cancer for like a decade.
The story I had heard is he had been diagnosed with cancer, given I think 6 months to live, 6 to 12 months to live, and then he lived 18, 20 years taught at Baylor.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And ran every day.
Yeah.
He would have like surgeries and then teach.
Come right back to school to teach.
Wow.
Yeah, he would have like.
Yeah, that is badass.
He had neck cancer. It was apparently really not a good one.
Yeah.
Right. Not if there's a good one. But he had just influenced me, and I swear when he died, I stood over his grave and I told him I'd be a teacher and help people that way one day.
Wow.
You know. But I didn't think that was meant for me right then when he passed. I knew that. So it was just weird how like I became the paramedic, and I got to the point where I knew when I was on the ambulance, I wanted to help people, but by the time they got there, it was just kind of too late. Like even if I could save them, it was just like a lot of the life decisions they made that had brought them there. Because a lot of people were just chronically ill. Yeah. And just it wasn't like, you know, there's on TV or it was like car wrecks and shootings and stuff all the time. And those things were rare compared to the humdrum of just bringing sick and chronically ill people to the hospital. Yeah. And I felt like that if I was going to help them, I maybe should go to the front end of life instead of the back end, you know, and so, you know, catch people at the beginning and help change the trajectory of people.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and I found that making connections with kids was just so valuable, you know, like when you do it, it's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you really get that connection, and this goes to this other sideways, this is going to be a total side reference, but there was a time when I took a sociology class and a person came and spoke, and they said basically that making those connections is like experiencing God, right? It was almost a holy experience, right? When you find those real connections to people. And I can really vibe on that. You know, I get it. You know,
for sure.
That works for me. And because that could easily be what's part of life, is finding these connections to people. So that's my passion. And I've been able to feel like I can, and it's weird, like Baylor, I don't even think had the stated mission to, you know, instill in their students like the ability and desire to change the world. I don't think that was a stated thing, but I've kind of lived that. I've had the desire to change the world my whole life, and now I get to, even in public schools, I felt the same way. You know, I'm like going to change the world. The ripple that I will make may never be documented, but the effect will be permanent to society by inspiring kids. Yeah. You know, and maybe that's why I like middle school the best, because you're the most malleable then. You're just now starting to turn into what you're going to eventually become, and high school is a really awkward time for everybody, but you're still kind of young and enthused. Yeah. You get so young and get enthused when you're in middle school.
Yeah, you're not jaded yet.
Yeah, you're still kind of like a little kid, but you're starting to get those like higher order thinking skills that allow you to really make kind of decisions about who you're going to be. So if you've learned to value certain things about yourself and about your relationship to other people and your everybody, like, you know, like history teaches you.
Yeah.
Everything's interwoven. If you learn to value that early and think that you can make a difference in that, and then you're more likely to do that, because it sets your kind of personal DNA at, I can do something great.
Affirmation at an early age.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have and when I taught in a really high poverty school, it was like, what I was trying to make them believe was literally that they just could do it.
Right.
You know, to give them some basic skills to do it. See, for kids at Baylor, it's like a given.
Yeah.
They're going to do it.
Yeah.
Right. But what are they going to do it with is now the question. Right. Like, where are they going to take that potential? Right.
Right.
And so some will become like titans of industry. Other people will become incredibly, powerful politically. Others will end up like influencing kind of what you consider to be like the nonprofit world. Like the helping other people thing, because Baylor kind of exposes you to all of those possibilities in life. You see all of the different capabilities of society, and then you can just choose how you're going to be effective. Other kids didn't believe they had a chance ever, right, to do anything but just be poor for the rest of their lives, and they never made it out of the small town they grew up in. They never traveled out of state. They never done anything, because that's just not possible. You don't have any thing, and it's a perpetual thing, generation after generation, right?
So do you think that age window, that 12 to 14 age window, is the most susceptible to influence, be that positive, be that negative? They are the most sort of malleable, types of folks at that age window?
I feel like, so what I've heard, just anecdotally as a parent, is that basically during that time period in life, so like puberty time, right? So that a human undergoes more changes than any other time in their life, except when they're an infant, right? So, and they're growing into kind of a toddler. So there's massive change in their brain chemistry and their hormonal structure, and that's when. And I want to one day have a middle school that like nurtures that whole idea at once, like that you can't get out of middle school and not have felt like valued and cared for and grown.
For sure.
And things, but it's really easy to fall through the cracks, even at a fancy school where there's very few students, because kids internalize everything, right?
To an extreme degree.
Yeah, you don't know what's going on. You're like, holy crap, everything's changing. Like, at one day you're just like this little kid, and then all of a sudden all this stuff happened.
Yeah, hit the
armadillo. I'm not sure what just going on here. I'm sorry. Can I go to the bathroom for a minute? The kids are like lost, but at the same time their brains are growing so massively. I'm sure there's a huge development. In the way that they look at things. You literally get to help set their paradigm for the rest of their life, and those connections that I've made with kids over time, like one of the tragic things at the very beginning of my career was that I didn't think I was ever going to be able to keep up with how the children did. It's an interesting thing. In the past, teachers literally had 1 year of impact, maybe a couple, depending on how you did it, but after that they're just gone, right? And you just hope for the best. And now with social media, like kids that I taught 10, 12 years ago, like have found me occasionally, and I know that those connections that I made with them then were valuable.
Right.
And that's the payoff right there.
Yeah.
That's what this person remembered you, that you influenced them. They're hopefully, theoretically, a better person for their impact, their interaction with you.
Right.
So, when it comes to passion, it's just finding those connections with people that I find the most gratifying.
Do you find that passion manifests itself on the day-to-day basis of teaching, or is it something that has more of a long-term payoff?
I'd say so this is just a totally question about life. You just have to be open to it. So you can experience the passion of it every single day if you're willing to be open to that. Yeah. If you're just mindful of the fact that this is your opportunity. I've got a quote on my wall somewhere that's like, you should be grateful for this moment because this moment is your life. This is it.
Yeah.
And as I'm getting older, I'm getting much better perspective on that. I'm like, wow, how about the fact that I'm way grown up now?
Yeah.
And, inside, I'm still just almost really feel like I'm almost that little kid in some ways, where I just have this like boundless enthusiasm for things and just get really interested in stuff. And then my body's like, but you've actually spent 47 years on this chassis already, Mr. Chamberlain. You should probably go in and have oil change, right, and have some things lubed up a little bit. You know?
Yeah.
Lubed up.
Well,
Exactly. And my shoulder, I'll tell you. I mean, if somebody could give me a little something.
Very appropriately,
The oil can.
that
Exactly.
what you just said
Tin
called to
Man.
mind one of my favorite book quotes, which is from The Passion, and it is,
Wow. Yeah.
all time is eternally present, and so all time is ours.
Wow.
Which is, I mean,
Yeah.
it's the perfect manifestation of like every moment that you're living is your
This
living
is
moment.
This is it.
That's it.
This is it. Right?
There's
You
nothing
know,
else.
yeah.
I mean, think about it. If a picture is one moment captured,
Yep.
and a video is a series of pictures,
Mhm.
every picture makes the video. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I remember actually once you told me, this is in that Inner Circle interview we did for the notes. It was we were talking about movies, and it's, you know, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, how many words are, you know,
Yeah.
1,000 pictures
frame,
in it? Yeah.
in a frame, and then 50. I mean, film is fantastic in its ability to deliver information and to invoke emotion and motivate action. I mean, it's the storyteller now.
And so was the Inner Circle where you dipped into that and you started getting into film?
Yeah, absolutely.
That was the point.
So, yeah,
What's your interest?
Dr. Miller taught a photography class that I was in, so we talked about just photography and its influence. And at the same time, I knew he was this super cool teacher, you know, that had this like special club, and
Right.
I knew a guy that was in the dorm that like got me into it, you know. And then I took his Viz Lit class, which I think Mr. Fatrol, is that?
Yeah, Bernard Fatal.
Fatal. He teaches, and I would love to go to that class sometime, because that class was just such a big influence on me, because it allowed you to realize that what you were seeing might not necessarily you can't just take it for granted.
Who would be your Mount Rushmore of Baylor teachers?
Oh man, that's cool. 4?
Yeah, 4.
All right. Bill Cushman, for sure, right?
Yep.
And John Chu, and John Miller, and Shaq Van Dusen. But there are
he
others,
is.
though. I mean, it's hard to close them out, but the Shaq, and I mean,
Yeah.
theater. You know, that was
Powerful.
it was the island of misfit toys. You
Right.
know? I mean, we were all
Still
just,
is.
Yeah, exactly.
Checks out.
Always will be.
It checks out again. But yeah, that was such a formative time for me when I really made connections to people that I probably never would have. You know. Not terribly successful at athletics, right,
Yep.
as a kid, smaller, and just didn't really have what it took to be good at pretty much anything except, I guess, the mental toughness, maybe tennis, but I got, burned out on playing it all
So
the time.
you've got Cushman, English history.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Shaq, theater. You've got Miller, visual storytelling,
Yeah.
and you've got Chu, history. So
The thing
there's
that links
definitely
them all together,
is the storytelling.
well,
right?
yeah, they were fantastic storytellers, but they can, and I guess through storytelling they just connected, and they were good at connecting to people, and so they would connect to me. Like their classes weren't nearly as influential on me as just their moments that they took to connect with me as a person. Right? Other classes were spectacular. I learned a ton, but
Yeah.
those moments of connection, between like a mentor and a mentee, when you're that young, it's just formative, right? And that's what I'm looking for with my students now, is just to have that chance to, make that connection where they realize they were valued and listened to and advised, and
Yeah.
just, it's such a fantastic feel.
Yeah.
I mean, your heart swells and you realize that you're edifying yourself and that you're, siphoning off of this person who knows so much and has been here and experienced it so
Right.
much more than you have.
But in some ways, though, it was almost not that I looked at them as like they know so much. It was like they're just like me. Like we
They're
can just have
contemporaries.
we can just
At the same time,
we can just
yeah.
have a talk about anything.
Mhm.
They value me as me, not as my role as a student and them as the teacher. Like
Yeah.
they were just another person, like talking to me, like advising
Yeah.
me.
Do you think it's the passion that separates those teachers?
I don't know. It could almost be the curiosity for the. So I would assume as teaching, many people have different passions. Some people have the passion for the subject, so they're just completely obsessed with math or
Mhm.
history or English books, and just whatever the subject is. And other people crave that ability to teach people, to
Yeah.
watch them grow, right? So they're like the gardeners of humanity, right? They just have to influence the future, and they know they can, and they're just really great with people. And I don't know, some people you can tell that aren't made for the teaching career. They're in there just because that was a thing that they could do.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
but they're still good at the
Yep,
subject.
I've had
You know, and that's unfortunate because they're missing their opportunity to be incredibly important in a human being's life.
Yeah,
when
for
they
sure.
when they just deliver content and they don't teach students or they don't connect with people. Right? You know, it's that relationship that makes great teaching. Just sing along.
Do you think they're aware of that?
I don't
that
know.
There's something missing?
No, maybe not.
Yeah.
I think that maybe they just have a different kind of personality sometimes, and it just doesn't. Maybe they're just like that with everybody, right? You know, I mean, so they.
And maybe growing up as a student, they didn't seek those kind of connections with teachers, so they don't need
Or
to
maybe the
reciprocate it on
connections
the
they
other
had
end.
were with other adults, right? It wasn't with teachers, so they
Yeah.
were like coaches, or they were like preachers, or I don't know. Somebody that's not in a teaching role would be hard to find in a child's life. But they just doesn't. It's not natural for them, maybe, you know. And it takes an adult willing to take a little bit of a risk with a kid to have a conversation with them instead of, you know, staying in that role because maybe
Keeping
that's
the
what
mask on.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe that's what you're expected to do.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes down to it, we're all just people trying to find our way through life. And some of us have been around a little longer, and so sometimes we know what to do. Sometimes we don't, though. I mean, like, you know, sometimes children are by far the greatest guide when it comes to things. So I love learning from kids, too, and it's fantastic. I never fail to learn from the students that
Fresher
I have,
perspectives.
You know? Yeah, absolutely, you know. I mean, and still pure eyes, like, you know, where they haven't gone through things that have jaded you or made you stop considering certain options because, you know, you had not been successful there or you felt like somebody else had told you that would never work, you know. So kids are fantastic, like bringers of life to your learning all the time.
That's great. Do you think there are people who live without passion?
Probably, but they're probably really lonely.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you can be so content if you can find a passion. You know? I think that.
But it could be an isolated passion.
Yeah, well, that's fine. You know,
Right.
if you want to sit around and build model ships for the rest of your life and you love that stuff, and you know, you can actually find other people that are just as passionate about it as you, and you're once again part of a community. And that's, you know, and those connections, the community, that's what keeps. As far as I've heard from a lot of science, is that the more connected you are, the longer you live. Like the more people you know, the better you are to people. Typically, just in general, those connections.
And that's something I can accept from science because it makes sense. If you look at a forest, a keystone species goes missing, everything falls apart. You've got to have every year turning in unison, you know? It's all got to be there, otherwise it doesn't work.
And people that are connected are just more content, you know? I mean, if you're lonely, that's a negative feeling emotion. It's got to be just like stress. It's like bad for your body in general, right?
I think lonely correlates physically to just bleeding out. I think it's the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you're lonely, your soul's just bleeding out.
Well, you need to be content where you are. That's the thing, is that this is, you know, I mean, you may crave this other people's attention, but, you know, you can be happy in any situation. I mean, if you're just willing to, I guess it's like kind of, life is suffering, right? You just have to let go of the wants and desires to have less suffering.
Yeah.
Right? And so, in some ways, loneliness is, I guess, is a prison of our own making.
Right.
You know, I mean.
Yeah.
Well, the mind is a place in and of itself and can make a hell out of heaven and a heaven out of hell. That quote is hung on Tim Laramore's classroom forever.
Yeah.
That's always stuck with me because the first time I saw it, I was like, I have a lot more power than I've ever actually tuned into and realized before over, you know, I think it's a better way of looking at, you know, your attitude controls your altitude or whatever the cliche is. But
there's a million of them, but they're all true.
People have so much more agency than they ever realize, almost no matter what the context of their lives are.
Right.
And if you don't believe it, come on. I mean, look, a good example of it is, although it's kind of strange, Stockholm Syndrome. You're in a situation where, you know, everything is bad, so you learn to love it, you know? And then you're attached to it. Yeah. People can do that with anything. It doesn't have to be to that degree, you know?
The mind can do a lot.
Once you make your mind up on something, it really
That's right. That's your reality.
Yeah.
And,
that's why
like Robert Anton
exists.
Wilson, he called it like your reality tunnel. Right?
Yeah.
That's it. You know, and that's what you create.
For sure. Laser-like focus.
Yeah. Do you find there are moments in your life where you feel like you're living without passion? Or do you feel like you've always been able to fill
What do
that?
you mean when you say lost puppy? Is that...
Oh man, I never really hit socially. So I was like kind of a late bloomer, right, as one might say. So I felt like I didn't, even kids I'd grown up with, I felt disconnected as a student. Like once the new hierarchy begins to get established, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't a good athlete, and then Baylor was a lot more focused on athletics. Like, there were less outlets after school to like pursue things. There was no after school walkabout. There was none of that. It was like sports or I don't know what else you do.
Yeah.
Right? Pretty much. So
Sports are second.
and there was the play, right? Which I started, and typically I had connection with the play every year, but my parents would become disappointed in something about me, and I was no longer allowed to participate in the play, and so it became a kind of a running joke between me and Shaq that I was the longest running Baylor player, right, from when I graduated, because there was no, I'd auditioned in 7th grade for the play and got it. I didn't tell my parents I was going to, right? So I got like, I was like this, it was The Skin of Our Teeth, I think was the name of it. I think that was it. I can't remember which one it was really, but it was just yet another, it was one of them. And I had to play like a young kid, and it was the perfect role for it, but I just hadn't asked permission, and that kind of tended to become a pattern in my life where I did a lot of things I didn't ask permission for. And
so you were in the play with seniors and juniors as a 7th grader?
I would have been, and there were GPS girls there too. There were no Baylor girls, right, to play out, so it was great. I was so pumped. And then they got so mad at me just because I did.
Grade bow and the GPS.
Dude, that was a thing when you were in middle school. But yeah, so that kind of became a revolving thing. Like that was something. Every time I get in trouble, the play get yanked out from underneath me, which was bad.
So would you have said that you were introverted when you were growing up?
Sorta. Like I could. I mean, I believe I played sports and other things when I was on Lookout, but I think the transition off of Lookout into Baylor was just really like I didn't know what to do.
Just didn't really identify with anything?
No, it was just like the littlest town in America I moved from to go to this like school that has a lot of like structure and other things. I hadn't been really good at following rules on Lookout either, but they didn't care, right? Because it was like this little elementary school.
Wow, but we're really
little elementary school.
You're explaining Dawson, the Dunlap kid.
Well, we should talk later. All right, let's set you up to avoid some problems.
Too late.
Oh no, it's not. So Baylor didn't make a lot of sense to me, and I didn't adjust well, and just never found my place. The only place I felt at home were like the inner circle and with the players, right? Academically, I was not successful. I avoided doing a lot of my work instead of like throwing myself into it. Like I could have.
Did you feel pressure as a legacy, being at Baylor, or no?
I didn't like. It's weird. Like I've told many people this. It didn't make a lot of sense to me at the time. Like I didn't have any history, so having history didn't make any sense. And my parents were like, "Oh yeah, your grandfather helped, or your great grandfather helped bring, start Baylor School." I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally, like it doesn't make any sense to me at all. Like I wanted to go visit Macaulay on Macaulay visiting day because they had days up there. Like you go to Baylor on one day, you go to Macaulay on the other. The boys were all missing. I couldn't go. They literally wouldn't let me even go look at it. Right.
Wow.
And I mean, not that I resented that, but I just remember that being like odd. And so I understand now why they were so committed to it, but I also can feel that dissonance that I had then too, like not getting it at all, like r/whoosh.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it just didn't make any sense.
And now you're the Baylor historian.
I know. And I really feel, in a way, it's almost like all of the appreciation I should have had in the past up to that point has like accumulated now. It's just like
been like a tidal
much deeper.
wave.
Yeah, exactly. Since my kids have gone there, I just feel it so deep. Like I can walk through Lupton Circle, and because as the historian, I've read a lot of, I've read the books and other things about this history of the school, and I can tell you when my ancestors were standing there. Or so cool. just think about like a wedding occurring right here, or just other things that happened nearly 100 years ago that my family was part of, and just the connection there. I mean, I swear the roots must go all the way to the magma.
There are places on campus where I always feel the ghosts. Lupton Circle, Richmond Lounge.
Oh yeah.
Old Chapel, Duke Arena.
Yeah.
You're in there, and you can almost, if you think about it, you can feel the weight of the history.
There's so much going on there. That entryway into the admissions, and then it's like a conference room over there.
Founders.
Like the boys walked through that
Yeah.
every day to class once they built that building, and I like rubbed my hand along the top all the time.
Yeah.
To because I know they did too. Every time I walk through there, I feel it so hard. It's like they're standing there with me and pushing past me to get in there for lunch.
That's my fascination with Baylor history has always been when you confine all this history over decades and decades and decades, when you confine it to a single space, you feel the weight of it. You feel
alive.
the gravity of it, and it's alive in a way that it's not if you contextualize it in a broader sense.
I agree. And there you have the luxury of having everything basically documented too.
Yeah.
So you can really create a good strand or a string of information that never breaks almost.
You should write the sequel to It Never Rains.
I don't think I'm...
That'll be a project.
Yeah, give me a minute. I mean, somebody needs to, and so I figure I'll start working now towards getting everything together. I know Carl in the library he's the master, right?
Yes,
So I need to get going.
Yeah. The wise owl.
Talking with him. I figure I got about 20 years.
Soundproof.
20 years in me is what I'm thinking.
20 years?
All, I don't think I can. I don't know if I financially can retire then, but I don't know how much longer I'll be able to keep going. That'd be 67 for me. So that's a thing.
I was thinking about how, recently, just about how incredible an undertaking that was for Jim Hitt to write that book, because there was no internet.
It's voluminous.
1893 to 1969.
That
500 pages.
No internet.
Baylor history.
I can't
No
even
internet.
imagine.
Where do you start?
It stands to. It just says that they kept incredible records.
Yeah.
They kept incredible records, and they never got rid of them. They had them all the way back. I mean, you can find out who was class president, a million years ago, right? Yeah. This kid won the science award in '72. I mean.
Well, that's what I've been doing
71.
this summer. Is I've been working in the archives.
Yeah.
Really? Which
Okay.
they've moved. They've moved it from the chapel to Probasco. So right now they're actually spread out.
Okay.
And I've been creating boxes.
Shut up! I want to help.
Yeah.
All right.
I've been creating these boxes of 1,000 photos in each box so they can get digitized.
Nice.
So the library is going to work on the digitizing and.
That's cool. Oh,
And it's
I want to see
crazy
it.
though, right down there, the treasure trove of
I'm
stuff.
sure. I mean, it's all the history, and people are willing to just turn back history back in. I'm sure, a lot of families have gotten their grandfathers, information, their letters, their school books, their everything. And they don't want to get rid of them because they're so attached to it.
Yeah.
And that says something pretty profound about Baylor's impact on people. Mm-hmm. And they can't get rid of the school uniform from 50 years ago.
Right.
I mean, that says a lot.
Well, and looking at the pictures is incredible because it makes you so aware of your place in history. I would see pictures of the quad, and I'd be like, oh my God, the quad that I knew in 2016 hadn't changed for forever.
Right.
And then I saw it undergo
change.
a massive change
Yeah.
that hadn't happened for forever.
And now you'll be able to say to hopefully your grandchildren when they go there, I remember back when this was just all asphalt. It's just rocks right here, kids. That's all it was. And the cadets would parade right here.
Yeah,
Cadets.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just that feeling, right? Yeah. It's to be tied to something like that is very interesting, and I think unique because occasionally I meet people that have no roots, and I wonder what that's like. I mean, they're from all over, and their family is kind of all over, and they've never known that kind of connection.
Well, and extreme example, I think about that's why it's partially so significant when whole peoples get displaced.
Yeah, absolutely. You lose the family connection to everything.
Yeah, there's such strong roots, such strong connections to places. I guess places are the biggest thing.
Well, your environment kind of determines who you become.
Language, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It's the river of
Absolutely.
communication.
Anytime we lose, a people's being displaced, I'm sure there's a lot of indigenous languages.
Yeah. The Wayfinders is a good book about that. I don't know if you've read it.
I've heard that several times now. I need to read that.
Chase Davis.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I still haven't finished it, but Mr. Larimore would be upset if he heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gave it to me a while back.
He must have been the one I heard talking about it then.
Probably.
Senior trip time.
Yeah, probably him.
Right on. I'll have to read it.
Speaking about rivers,
Yeah.
what was it like? How long did you work at Ocoee?
I still kind of work there. I mean,
Really?
What does that
yeah.
mean?
Like if they give me a call, I'll run a trip for them. I get the schedule every week.
Run up and got?
When was the last time you ran a trip?
last year.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, so recent.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll do it. Like whenever. I kind of went through a hiatus where I didn't do it, but they always kept sending me the schedule because they say, hey, are you willing to come work if we need you? I'm like, absolutely. So some years I've done 6 or 8 trips for them, and sometimes I just do 1 or 2, like
so
a
that's
one
been
day.
One of the passions that's stuck.
I love it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that never changes.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to find that in life.
It's funny 'cause I don't know what it is. It's like you're always going out to the river because you expect it, and when you get on there, it feels familiar, you know.
Yeah.
But the river's definitely changed. Like that's all they do is change.
Every second.
Yeah.
But in
Talk about things that are alive.
but there's a sameness in the change, right?
Yeah,
You know,
because that's the nature of it.
exactly.
That's what
Like
it
the
always
change
will
is
be.
so slow.
It's like a natural
to-
paradox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like when I paddle, I just think about how old that riverbed is. A lot.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, how many millions of years did it take to form that rapid right there? You know, to shape those rocks into that. I mean, it's a beautiful connection, but I also feel so insignificant. You know.
It's that same sense of places carrying the weight of history. You put yourself in a single spot, and you can just you feel all the ghosts and the weight of the past.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
It's been right here.
I swear people have reached enlightenment on rivers. I always sit there. There's so many things you can think about. I always look at the sprites of water that are jetting up and everything, and I realize how many water molecules there are under me, where they've been, and the story each one of them has. You know,
They've been part of everything.
one of them was in a dinosaur.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
all of them were.
All of them.
All of them.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky enough to be floating in a piece of plastic on top of it.
Oh yeah. I can remember a very near, like, religious moment, if not fully religious moment, on the first wave at Double Trouble, which is a real. You can't surf it usually now, but I think either the water was down or up to where it goes to the point where it's got a nice little curl on the top.
Yeah.
And man, when you get on there, it's got to be such a quick cut back and forth on it, but it was so controlled, and I just felt part of something in a way that I just cannot describe to people who haven't felt it.
It's a fervor. You're just in. You
just feel the whole thing. Your whole body is just part of it, and you know you're just there. And later, looking back on it, you're like there for a moment. And it does it all the time.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful thing, like to see water moving and flowing, and it is beautiful.
That's one of the differences for me in kayaking and climbing.
Yeah.
Climbing's a total different part of
Oh,
the
I'm
brain.
sure it is.
I love it with all my heart, but when I go kayaking, which I'm still kind of new to, it's just like, I don't know, I feel like I'm a part of something, you know?
I hear you.
Like I'm part of the river. I'm moving along with
You
it.
are. I mean, you're almost as much water as it is.
Yeah.
You just happen to be bobbing on top.
Right.
You know, yeah, it's something about it. But I was just never great at climbing because when I was really young, my only interaction with them, I said I grew up across the street from Sunset.
Right.
So there was no cell phones back then.
Right.
So once or twice a year, somebody come knock on our door. And the only time our front door got used, basically, was when a climber had to come and tell me that their friend had fallen off the rock.
Yep.
Right? You know, and so
Which happens.
a couple times a year, right, there was the rescue squad was across there hiking a lot of the time a body out, you know, because back then climbing wasn't nearly as good as it is now. I guess there were a lot of people, probably still at dayfall, you know, take
And it's
take a
harder
good
when you're
spill.
starting back
Yeah,
then.
absolutely.
Once you're in it, you're in it. So like you don't have anyone easing you into it with the right technique and everything.
Right.
You kind of just
You're kind of
climb
making
and
it up.
climb and making it up.
So that was kind of your introduction to the outdoors, a little bit.
Well, I lived outdoors. My dad was had been an Eagle Scout, so we did a lot of. When I was young, we did like the Cub Scouts and stuff.
Yeah.
We hiked, we camped, but camping back then was miserable because you know technology sucked. I mean,
your
you know,
pillow was
canvas
probably
tent
like a
and stuff.
raccoon.
Come on, it was just no fun. And he expected to do it like 1950s style.
Exactly.
Like I was like, come on, but no. So the camping not so great. Hunting, and so he was a huge hunter. Right, he actually wrote the Outdoor Sportsman's articles for the Chattanooga Times at the time. That was before the Times and the Free Press fused together. And so, he was the outdoor writer, and so he wrote all about hunting, and I was always in his stories, and I was his little buddy. Actually, he was the big winged critter shooter, and I was the little winged critter shooter. So I lived outside, and, shooting stuff. Basically winged critters a lot of the time, but we shot everything pretty much. And we knew all the game wardens and everybody around town that did any of that. And we reloaded, and it was a huge community back then. It may still be now, but I feel so separated from it. It's almost sad. But I never really enjoyed the outdoors like that, right?
You were just kind of in it.
I was in it. Yeah, it was where I went to, kill things a lot of the time.
Right.
You know?
Different
Yeah.
perspective on it.
And so, yeah.
Totally different from
It wasn't
being
out
part
there
of
to
the river.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
It wasn't out there to enjoy the river. It was just out
You were
there
shooting
to
the
shoot
things
stuff that was
flying
flying
over
over
it.
it. Yeah. Or fishing stuff up out of
Yep.
it. My grandfather was a fisherman, right? So it was just all about harvesting like food from an environment, basically. It was not enjoying the environment for what it was. And so just going on the senior trip was when it really cracked open to me. I was like, wow, this is something.
Because then it's
You
a
know?
resource that you're preserving.
Yeah.
Like you're going out to be a part of it and experience it rather than
River
harvesting
rapture.
from it. Yeah.
Yeah, or ruining it, like
Burning it down.
damming it, or logging it, or whatever.
What is it that you find most appealing about being in the outdoors today? Just about being in nature.
It's just the peaceful nature of it, because life's just so coming at you so fast now. And I'm just as bad as any kid about using my phone and being on the computer or watching stuff, and that velocity of information that I'm exposed to, like, totally stops when you're out there.
Reset.
Yeah, I mean, you can just experience things the way your brain is actually programmed to.
Right.
Right, really.
Crazy.
After millions of years of evolution.
Right.
And now we're throwing ourselves
Exactly.
into phones that give us so much data
Yeah.
that our brains aren't ready to process.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
We're used to looking at trees and deciding which one we can eat and not.
Yeah.
You know?
It shows. I mean, I was the happiest on senior trip that I think I've ever been, just from a health standpoint. Not even necessarily like the things that were going on in my life, just where my body was, where my mind was. It was totally a reset button.
It's like your body and your mind can be together.
Yes.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Oneness.
Yeah.
I got a sense of oneness.
That's why I liked yoga too. I was
Yeah.
able to put everything, and at first it's so hard. They just tell you to kind of acknowledge it and push it to the side, whatever's
Right.
going on in your head, and eventually just being able to have a clear mind and just be present in my body was so. I mean, it was enlightening.
Yeah.
Senior trip was the most relaxed I've ever felt. And I can't imagine the kids who were like, oh, this is stressing me out. I heard people say that, and I was like, what are you talking about?
Because
We're not doing anything stressful. We're sitting here and, like, this is the most relaxed I've felt ever.
Yeah,
Ever.
exactly.
This is the culmination.
Right. There's nothing I have to do
Nothing.
except go on an adventure tomorrow.
Mhm.
I mean,
And that's
how
what
cool.
I sit thinking about in class all the time.
Yeah.
Half the time, teachers have to wake me up and be like, what are you doing? And I'm just sitting there thinking about a climbing wall that I know, or
Right.
like I'm thinking about Cane Creek, going
Right.
down it.
Right.
And that's what senior trip was
Doing all of it at once.
living your daydreams. Yeah.
It felt so relaxed and so mindful.
Yeah.
And then when I came back to Chattanooga to home, like I noticed,
Yeah.
it was hard
Yeah,
to
hated
reset
it.
again. And it wasn't anything that was different with my mindset. It was literally just like the external forces around me and like having technology around me.
I wonder how
And it
Snow Bear would
changed
react if he walked into like a Target or a Kmart or something.
I'm sure he has done it, but
Oh, man.
there's a reason he lives in St. Croix.
Yeah.
I mean, on a sustainable farm.
I mean, it just made me being back made me want to run off into the woods,
With Snow Bear?
not come back. Yeah, with Snow
That
Bear.
sounds like a Taylor
Holding
Swift song.
hands.
Yeah.
Marry me, Snow Bear.
Dude,
Yeah,
I
Snow Bear.
totally experienced that when I came back. After the senior trip, I was just like, that was kind of what I want to be doing. And then
Yeah.
the universe kind of brought that to me. It wasn't like I even went looking for it. So
Yeah.
Right.
I just was open to the possibility. Like, we had heard in the speeches, just
Yeah.
allow yourself to experience things. And
Just don't knock
when
it.
it happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, and God, when you're there, you're just, for us as graduating seniors, we had nothing else to look forward to. Graduation was kind of the only thing on the agenda.
Yeah.
But that was something they would get us to. We had nothing that we had to do as
It
individuals.
was like rolling
on
the
a
credits.
checklist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
That's
so,
exactly what it was.
You could just sit there if you
totally.
wanted to.
Yeah.
And so we just got to be there, and the mind was not jumping ahead at all.
Right.
Tim talked about it before we left. It's the Buddhist if-then mentality
Right.
that's so cancerous to, existence.
Yeah.
If I do this, then I will be happy. And I noticed that when I got back here, because suddenly I'm starting to think of the ifs again.
Yeah.
Where it was so easy to let go of that on senior
Sure.
trip.
There's no need for it. Right. You can't get anything else. You can't do anything else. You just are there, being in the moment.
Yeah. It's incredible.
It's beautiful.
I hope I can get back to that.
Next year?
Before it's no. I'm just saying in my day to day.
Oh, that feeling.
Make a space so that I don't lose what that is.
It's waiting
Ever.
for you. It's
Yeah.
there. The
It'll
space
always
is
be there. That's the great thing.
Hope so.
I just have to make sure to get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's how do you cultivate it in your everyday life?
Exactly. That's what it takes.
You know.
It's like very deliberate choices get
Yeah.
made your whole life. So
Right.
you just have to decide to live a way that will give you that, if that's what you need.
Yeah, someone said an interesting thing on the trip. We were talking about, mindful living, and they said it's really hard. It's a practice, all that stuff. But I think the best way to go about it practically in your day-to-day is if you cultivate gratitude for every little thing that happens.
Yeah.
And I appreciate everything that's happening in my life. I'm cultivating this gratitude for it.
And if you don't, change it,
Yeah.
If it does not bring you joy, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing now, right?
Right.
So I love that. Like, we actually did that with our clothes and stuff. I love it. It's like the greatest thing ever. Just the folding the clothes so perfectly.
Yeah, taking
and
care.
I'm not a taking care of my clothes, washing and folding them kind of guy. But
Yeah, me neither.
That Marie
There's a hamper in the
Kondo
corner.
and stuff. That stuff's awesome.
I do
It's
think
so good.
taking care of the self is an underrated thing.
That was what I learned a lot.
That's my hot take. Like,
take that time
Yeah.
to take care of yourself, and it will pay dividends for so long.
And really, don't feel bad about cutting things out that you don't like. It's that simple,
Absolutely.
If you don't like
make those
things,
choices.
no one's obligated you to hold on to them.
If you don't want to go somewhere, don't go.
Yeah.
That's a principle that I live by,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not afraid to say that to someone's face. Like, someone's like, "Hey, you want to go?" I'm to the point. I figured out that I'm to the point where if it's something that I'm being offered that I don't want, I get to say no.
That's the grown-up choice.
That's what you get to do. And then when someone's like, "Why?" you get to say, "I don't want to," and they can't say anything back.
Yeah.
If you don't want to, that's game over.
Yeah.
And I mean, and you can approach how to say that in a lot of different ways.
A lot of ways,
You
but the core is the same.
Yeah, exactly. As long the idea is just not hurt people's feelings when you're delivering the negative message.
Exactly.
And that's what the South is good about. We're real good about sugarcoating it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. It helps preserve your, your social standing if it shut you down in flames. It was nice. I was nice about it though, and you feel good.
Yeah.
Right? That's all that matters.
So when you graduated from Baylor,
Mhm.
1990,
90.
it's a good year.
Coming up on 30.
Nice and round.
Coming up on 30.
30.
Mhm.
That's a good one.
Bozo.
Exactly. It's really hard to deal with. I won't lie. Like, I really didn't expect it.
So when you
Everyone else gets old, but not me.
I didn't think I'd get lucky enough to. I mean, I was a risk taker.
Did you know you were going to be a teacher at Baylor ever, or
No,
long term?
I-
Any vision of coming back to the school in any capacity, or
I didn't
did that
think-
feel far away?
I didn't feel it because I just had such a hard time when I was there.
Yeah.
You don't want to come back to a place that's so.
There's a lot. I mean,
Emotionally scarred.
I mean, I can't tell you. Wherever I go on campus, I have like a lot of memories about a lot of things that happened. I mean, it was a very tumultuous time in my life.
Yeah,
so
for sure.
there's some ghosts there, and it's just a beautiful thing to be able to be back and try to make the difference in that world.
Yeah.
Right.
So did your affinity for the history develop once your kids started going and you were looking at it from afar, or did it develop when you came back, or was it some bridge in between?
I would say I just was a little curious along the way before my kids were born. But once my kids got, old enough, I started thinking about the place. And, I don't know, the universe just kept bringing me little bits of that.
Yeah.
So we changed churches and went on Sigma Mountain, and Rob Robinson was who goes there.
Jolly Rob.
I love Rob. And he was the historian, and he just kept talking to me about it. Right, and it just made me interested. And then like my mother is still interested in it, even though my parents got divorced, she's still kind of interested in it. And so she would send me stuff occasionally about not just Baylor, but about the family history in general.
Yeah.
And so, it's just kind of there on my radar, and I like history because I had an affinity for just history in general, right? Being that was my concentration in college, right? So was humanities, and it was mostly with a history concentration, and it was I don't know, it just has been a time in my life when I began to appreciate history more in general, and especially my own history as I got older, and I don't know, it just has blended so
I've noticed
powerfully.
that interest kind of comes with age too, oftentimes.
Yeah.
We're so irreverent at this age about the people before us and people who have led and paved our path to get where we are.
Yeah.
But years down the road, I think it'll come back to.
What I always tell people is that if you didn't like a history class, it's probably because you didn't have any history.
Yeah.
Right? You know, you just, when you're young, you just don't get it too much. It's just a long story. Who cares?
Yeah.
Right? You know, but then you're like, when you have history, you actually appreciate the fact that this longer history exists that you're part of.
Yeah.
And, you know, it just seems to be pretty worthwhile for most people say, I didn't like history when I was in school, but I really do now.
Yeah.
Right? You know, because now you can see you're part of the continuum and not just your place, but how everything has fallen into place.
Yeah.
Well, so when I think Bowen history, at Baylor specifically, I think of what I think many people best know you for, which is the John Roy Baylor speech.
Yeah.
That would be what I would think of.
Certainly.
How did that come to happen, and how did you prepare for it? How did you try and go about taking on that character, that role?
It was a big deal.
Yeah.
They just said they were going to be having a John Roy Baylor thing, and they wanted me to give a history speech.
Okay.
You know, because I do
And
that
then it
for
was
the.
bow time.
I do that for alumni.
It's bow time.
Like Rob put together a nice presentation about kind of just general Baylor history called Baylor 101 that he showed to alumni on alumni weekend. So you do 3 sessions and people come through and just give a little talk about the history of the school, and people tend to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And so they asked if I would kind of do that, and if I kind of had artist license on it in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, after thinking about it, would you want me to do it, as Dr. Baylor? Because I had this speech that Dr. Baylor had written but not given that Alex Gary had delivered.
Yeah.
And I knew that I could speak kind of from his perspective.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things that were valuable in that speech for children of any generation, any
Absolutely.
place in history.
Yep.
And then I could just blend it together. And so there was some ruminating about it by the administration to, whether or not that would be appropriate.
Had to
right?
mull it over, as
whether-
administration does.
Exactly.
So gracefully.
And then they told me, and so I'm kind of like excited. And then they tell me I can do it, and then I'm like, yeah,
Kazami.
whoa.
Uh-oh.
I actually have to
Right.
now. How do I do
Independence,
that? Because I feel the weight of that responsibility then, and I want to do it right.
And
Yeah.
you're trying to bring someone to life who no living person has.
Yeah, he's been
Never
dead for a
seen.
minute.
Yeah. But there is an extensive amount of information about him.
Yeah.
And his family, too, is weird. Like, when I really got digging, there's a lot of stuff about the Baylors in Virginia history because there's a really old family, and they were really big into horses and horse racing. And that was a huge thing, like, for 100 years, right? And so there was just a lot of documentation on, old planter families from Virginia that included the Baylors. So just to see his history further back was really kind of interesting. It made me understand kind of maybe what he had grown up as and could not imagine what his day-to-day was like, but I kind of understood some of the scenarios that he would have been put in, right? And younger son, like getting nothing, right? You're going to get you an education. That's what you get, right? But that's great, but you grew up in such affluence and probably everything was probably pretty well taken care of. He had to learn to work hard, and he was just upset. He must have had great teachers, and he did talk about his great teachers, because typically kids that want to be teachers had great ones, right, that connected to
absolutely.
them, right? And so he talked
To
about
show
some
them what
of
a real
his,
teacher is.
right? And so he really, and I think the connections are different probably generationally now. I mean, though his behavior in the way that they would treat students is definitely different. We have a much softer take.
Right, they
on
won't beat
kids
you
these
with the
days.
the blunt end of the sword
exactly.
nowadays.
But he was really sweet to the kids. He was really soft. Like, he would hear something about a kid and he would say, "Oh, kick him out of school," and then an hour later he could find Alex Gary and tell him not to, because he felt like he'd overreacted.
Right.
But often it was felt that Alex thought, well, actually, he probably hadn't, and you should just punish them.
Yeah.
Again, Alex was famous for letting kids stew upstairs in the top of Lupton. There was like a big room up there, I guess, that they played in before they added the attic apartments. And he would send them up there for their punishment. But he'd make them wait for hours before he came up there to give it to them.
That's the worst.
Right? And so he said that they would be in tears by the time he would get up there, but he would still follow through with those punishments.
Ah, the glory days.
Order
Yes.
66.
We miss them.
Yes, indeed. Well, anyway, he was, Dr. Baylor was a great, academic, right?
Yeah.
He was really, really smart and just versed in so many different things. And, You know, you would be hard pressed to find his modern day equivalent, right? When it came to just broadness of knowledge, right?
Yeah, right.
From mathematics to Greek and Latin, I mean, just having that broad swath and mastery of it, and doing it without any mechanical assistance at all. So, impressive man, right?
Yep.
You know, with a good vision, right? And he luckily met up with people that had good money. So, and that's how Baylor happened. Right? You can't do something like that without making the right connections. And he educated the right kids, and they made his vision come true.
All right, very good. So we're going to move to the next part of our program, the list corner.
The list.
Pretty excited.
The part that we've all been greatly anticipating.
Do we get to debate this, or is it just we split our list?
Okay. It might come to fisticuffs,
all right.
Honestly.
All right.
I got to admit, I've done a lot of preparing for this.
Good.
Why?
Much more thinking than I should have.
Well, then I'm going to admit I have not.
I spent 2 hours thinking about this and ruminating.
So for our listeners,
I should have done more research.
The list corner will be a segment of each episode where we proposition a question that requires each of the members of the podcast to do a ranking. This show's question is, what are the top 5 greatest Star Wars films of all time?
Dun, dun, Sorry.
Now we do Cantina Band song. I always love that one. Sometimes I put that on in the house when I'm home alone.
Dude, it's so energetic.
All through the house.
Those guys were
it's
great.
Jazzy.
Yeah,
It's
I love them.
Those guys. We never saw much of those guys after Star Wars.
No.
The eggheads.
Sad.
They probably
had
had an
talent.
album. If it was
They
today,
did.
they would have had an album.
Oh,
So,
for sure.
the way we'll do this is we'll go around and we'll each give our top 5 first, and then
Sure.
we will open the floor to discussion. So
Let's start with
we'll start with
Okay.
It's bow time.
Bo.
All right. So, of course, A New Hope has to be best for me because it was the one that came out when I was a kid, right? And that was the one, right?
Yeah.
It was the definitive movie forever. Like, I had watched that movie 100 times before I saw Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Right, because my grandfather, he was one of the first persons to figure out how to copy a videotape to a videotape. Right, he got the descrambler and everything, right? And I had that thing and I watched it all the time. So definitely number one because it's also the encapsulation of the entire story. Like, so you get the beginning and the end. It's a nice bookend. Like, if you're going to do just one, that's the one because the spies deliver the plans. And then they blow up the Death Star, right? So it's perfect.
That's fair.
Right? It's perfect.
I don't agree with you, but
It's fine. It's fine. No.
We'll get to you in a minute.
But Empire Strikes Back.
Stay strong.
Empire Strikes Back next, right? Has to be. I mean, and critically acclaimed. That's the one that's better of the two.
I agree.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. I cannot tell you how hurt I felt when those doors opened and Lando had brought them to Vader. I was crushed as a kid. I was like,
Just makes you want to rip your pants off.
Billy D. Williams.
Yeah.
Right?
Han Solo's a badass in that scene. He sees
I know.
Vader.
He's like, "Oh, I'm going to kill you." And then it's like,
wasn't worth much.
none of
but,
that.
No, it
None
wasn't
of
worth
that.
anything at all.
None of that. So, but it was impressive, right? And you get to see a nice use of the Force there, right, where he pulls the gun out of his hand.
Good man.
No, I'm just breathing.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, because I'm just kind of old school, I'm really torn here. I'm not going to lie. I feel like we should have Return of the Jedi next, right? I feel like that because that's the end of the original trilogy, and to be true to my generation, I should really stick with that. But I'm going to say that, and y'all are totally not going to agree with me, that I could easily parse this with Rogue One because I love the backstory. Because I love the first
I'll allow
one.
it.
I
Max
love
is nodding
New
his
Hope.
head. Max is a big fan.
I'll say this.
Max is a big
Logic
Rogue
makes
One guy.
sense.
Right? I loved New Hope so much, I needed to know what happened first. And the fact that they all died did not bother me at all. It is the story, right? I'm used to sad movies. That's fine. Everybody wants a Star Wars movie to end with a good thing. But after Empire Strikes Back, it's not going to, right? I mean, you get no love when it comes to watching that Carbonite Han Solo fly off. I mean, so you have to understand that sometimes people are just not going to get what they want in a movie. And I love that. So I'm going to go tie for 3 there, right? T3, right? Between, of course, the natural end to the original trilogy, if you want to call it the original trilogy. And then I'm really torn because at 4 and 5, it's just like, I mean, at 5 and 6, it could be a bunch of them. Because at that point, so many other news things came out that it's kind of what else to me. I do like I will say that the pod race in the very first movie is a very exciting scene for really?
It's not the best
Really?
scene.
I like it. And I enjoy it because it shows his capabilities young, right? His power, even though it's made for kids. That's the thing that's the problem I had with Empire, with the Return of the Jedi, is that
The Ewoks.
right? So
I hate the Ewoks.
Every time they start
Furry
throwing
bastards.
in
They're awful.
marketing,
Suck.
it really kills me. That I don't like any movie I can't really embrace any movie that does that. Right? They're like, okay, we're gonna put shameless merchandising in here because action figures make cash.
That's what George Lucas turned into.
Yeah. So
If I had an Ewok in front of me, I'd burn him. I just want to go ahead.
I would burn him and make his
that
family
on-
watch.
I want to say that
his
on
little
record.
furry family.
So
Eat it.
Yeah.
so 5 and 6 are a giant toss
Well,
up.
maybe
For me, I could go. I like the Han Solo movie a lot, just because I get his backstory.
Okay.
Right? Even if people totally disagree with. I mean, and for me, it's just how gratified I feel after I watch the
Right.
movie, and I'm not critically
Which-
judging them
yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
You know, and so
I
I
appreciate
know a
that.
lot of kids don't like. A lot of people, especially purists, don't like the casting for Han Solo. So whatever, I get that, but you're never going to have Indiana Jones,
Right.
right? Again, so
Harrison Ford would have been a little old to play.
Yeah, I mean, he
20-year-old Han Solo at this point.
he's
A lot
an
of makeup.
icon. Like,
Modern
you're literally
makeup,
not
we
going to
can
find
do it.
another one. Yeah, maybe, but he won't be able to run real far. So it was good. I could easily, I like the Revenge of the. I mean, I like the. It's the Revenge of the Sith. Is that it?
Yeah, that's the third one.
So yeah, that
Yes.
one, the making of Darth Vader, right?
Yep.
I mean, so good.
Freaking amazing. I
Yeah.
would like to say
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
the best.
Watch the
Let's
fall,
just-
Anakin's fall, right?
Dawson, don't spoil your
You were
rating.
the chosen one. Yeah.
So
No.
I have a little fuzzy stuff down there at the bottom of the bottom of the stack, but I'm all right. All right. Well, whatever. All right.
All right, brother. I got you.
I can't commit to a hard and fast down there.
All right, well, we
Yeah.
won't get into your fuzzy stuff.
Thank you. Thank you. That's my fuzzy stuff
That's
alone.
that's another podcast.
Stay away.
All right, here's my top 5.
Okay.
Dawson's face, by the way, is just red.
Yeah, beat red.
Red.
We're talking baboon ass red.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm not.
Not used to my mentor talking like that.
So first for me, Empire Strikes Back.
Solid movie.
One of the 5 greatest movies ever made.
Solid movie.
It's if you want a movie with conflict,
Mm-hmm.
with character, the characters are all at their best
Cat and mouse
in
dynamic.
episode 5. It's Han Solo at his best. It's Han Solo at his I love you, I know. It's at his
Yeah.
don't tell me the odds.
Yeah.
What other ones? I'd rather kiss a Wookiee. That can be arranged.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's scruffy looking? I mean, Han Solo, so good in that movie.
Yeah.
Yoda?
Yeah. We get to see Yoda.
Yeah.
And
That's
it's
a game
Yoda
changer.
at his best.
Yep.
You're going to advocate for the movies where Yoda's a little
No,
CGI.
you know what? I've had a change of heart. Sock
Puppet Yoda
is better.
Puppet Yoda is the best.
I don't know, man. Watching Yoda be able to lightsaber fight is one of the greatest things ever.
Where he does like 7 backflips.
I mean, because I was in my 30s when I got to see that. I've been living the
Yeah.
sock puppet Yoda forever, and then
Yep.
I'm like, oh, Yoda's a badass too.
Mhm.
I mean, that is so good.
But I think of Yoda as the one who enforces the Dharma
Right.
and the
Luke's
Buddhism
backpack.
to Luke.
Yeah.
He is the one who says,
Luke.
or do not. There is no try.
That's pretty good Yoda.
You know?
Yeah, it is.
And the one who lifts the X-Wing out of the swamp.
Oh yeah.
That is a magical scene.
It
That's
makes
a
you
hot
wonder
Yoda.
why he didn't do it earlier. But
It does.
No,
he's trying
that
to
was
teach Luke.
him.
Yeah, come on,
That's
man.
to
Come
teach
on.
him.
Dude, it's practicality. He's got stuff to do.
No, but they want him to
No, he
stay.
can't-
He
he
can't
can't-
go out and chase his friends. That's the mistake.
And he can't flex on him too early because then he'll never think it's possible.
You're right.
Exactly.
You know?
You're right.
And, I mean, I think it's fun. Here's the thing. Darth Vader, he's an archetypal villain in film.
Sure.
When you think villains, Darth Vader is one of the
He's a
first
good one.
5 guys you think
Yeah.
of.
Yeah.
He's got like
Awesome.
10 minutes of screen time in A New Hope.
Yeah. But,
Empire Strikes Back
Okay.
really establishes him as a
Oh,
bad
sure.
mamma jamma.
Major character.
Mean
Right.
mamma jamma. That opening shot of him at the window looking at all the Star Destroyers and the
Mm-hmm.
whole fleet, and it's got, that's the Imperial March,
Big
the
Vader.
dun,
Yeah,
dun,
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 that's
dun,
actually
dun, dun.
introduced
Right.
Big
yeah,
Vader.
that's
in
right.
Empire. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
huge Vader, big Vader guy right
Yeah.
here. And he's like killing admirals right and left,
Yeah.
like
to
over
see
the
a lot
FaceTime
more
screen.
force.
Like,
And
You
then like
see a
the
lot
other guys
more.
are right there, and it's like you're in charge. And I was like, this one's Vader. And you got the carbonite freeze. Empire is the best. I think it's also the best John Williams score. Moving on, number 2, A New Hope.
Yeah, I agree. I mean,
the
I
classic.
just can't, I have to go with my OG, but I get it.
It's great mythological storytelling. It's the story of the hero who comes from nothing. He wants to be something. He's, aspirational, and then, that shot of the binary sunset.
Oh, yeah, it's iconic.
And the character introductions, Vader walking out with the smoke.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher doing the R2-D2 message.
Yeah.
Han Solo, I'm Han Solo, Captain of the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
The Death Star stuff. Alec Guinness, an all-time classy
So
performance
good.
as Obi-Wan. And then my favorite scene, the assault on the Death Star.
Yeah.
The dog fight World War II style.
Oh, yeah. It's so good.
Awesome.
It feels so good.
Stay on target.
Stay on target. I
Stay
say
on
that
target.
all the time in class. I say it in class when kids are like,
Yeah.
I'm like, stay on target. They're like, huh?
Stay
What?
on target. Stay on
And
target.
I can just always see the.
What's that fat guy's name? Porkins?
But I swear to God, if it's Porkins.
I don't know if it actually
There's no way it's Porkins. Yes, come on, man.
And then
the fat guy, Porkins.
Return of the Jedi 3. I actually think the Vader Luke, that hits its epoch. Like the climax of the redemption story and the father-son struggle and the Emperor and the opening scene with Jabba. Some of the best stuff in the series. Ewoks offsets
That's
it.
the thing.
Lame
It
Han
hurts.
Solo
Yeah.
performance
Yeah.
offsets it. It just brings it down a level.
Yeah.
So it's got some of the peaks and the best moments, but it's got a lot of the valleys.
It's got a lot of what you're trying to say.
I'm saying it makes it the third best of the originals and the third best thusly overall.
This is blasphemy.
Fourth, The Force Awakens. Force Awakens, total rehash of A New Hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little low on creativity. I grant people that. I
It's
grant
got beautiful
that to the
cinematography,
haters.
though.
Beautiful
Gorgeous.
cinematography.
Gorgeous.
Reintroduces the characters beautifully. The Luke scene at the end,
Yeah.
the Hermit Luke, I love that. I don't love how they handled it in the next movie. I don't love it,
Mm-hmm.
but I love the setup. The setup's perfect, and I love Rey, and I love Finn, and I love their rapport and their dynamic. Just fun to watch. That scene where they're leaving Jakku and they're shooting the guys and they're flying the Falcon for the first time.
That's one of those parts where Bo was saying you feel gratified after watching that.
Totally.
You're like, that's what I want.
You feel like you're there. That's to me, that's the magic of Star Wars. It's like you feel like you're on the Falcon with these guys.
Yeah.
That's the magic. That's the nostalgia too. Like as a kid, you're
Oh, yeah.
living so vicariously through these stories, and
Absolutely.
they're so much fun. And I think Harrison Ford's great, and I think the Kylo Ren twist and the spoiler alert, Kylo Ren killing Han Solo is very effective.
Yeah.
Like I saw that and I was like,
Yeah.
damn it. I was actually with Alex Robinson when we watched that, and he goes,
guys-
"No!"
Yeah, I can see that.
in the midnight premiere.
Then you held each other and wept silently.
We did.
Yep.
It's a very tender moment. Anyways, fifth. Fifth is Revenge of the Sith. That's going to be my only prequel that makes the list. I find that movie, in
It's
spite of
good,
it carrying many of the flaws with like clunky script writing, too much CGI, overproduction, it's hellaciously entertaining.
Yeah. It's great.
And I think Ewan McGregor is so much fun to watch. Hello there. when he fights Grievous and the
Grievous.
Yoda Yoda versus Palpatine.
I know that fight is.
It's awesome.
Really why it makes my list.
Awesome. In the
I
Senate
love
chambers.
it. Yes, exactly.
Palpatine's flinging those little pods
Yeah,
at
exactly.
Yoda,
Just
and
like
Yoda's just
grab
climbing
it.
up him.
I mean, such
And
use
they've got
of the force.
he does
the
like
lightning.
the lightning, and then Yoda like
The lightning,
Yeah.
dude.
Uno reverse
lightning.
card on him.
Yeah.
And I think the fight with Anakin and Obi-Wan starts off really well and ends really well. It's kind of long, and it's
But you're there though.
you're
You
there.
have to have it.
You're there,
Yeah.
and some of it's great, and the music's great,
Transformation.
and the immolation is intense.
Yeah.
I remember watching that as a 5-year-old, and I was like,
Oh, dang.
you were the chosen one. So yeah, I get that fifth, very entertaining. I think that should have been all three prequels should have been that story, and they should have stretched it out. Phantom Menace, quote unquote, the first movie should be like the start of the Clone Wars.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're established
That would've been
characters, and we watch Anakin fall.
Phantom
We don't have
Menace
to
is
watch,
boring.
8-year-old Anakin. So,
Yeah.
I
anyways,
don't know. I enjoyed the pod race a lot. Just as I don't know why. It was a fun thing.
Well,
And just to see the very beginning, I guess. I'm just a story guy.
if you just tuned in, don't worry about it, because here's the accurate list.
No.
Number 1 is definitely Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
blasphemy!
No, there's no way it's not, dude.
There's no.
Anakin and Padme, romance. You're there. That's a point.
Oh, I've watched their romance.
It's amazing.
I hate sand.
You
It's rough and
Oh,
coarse, irritating, and it gets everywhere.
But they're in love.
Not like you. Han Solo and Leia? Are you gonna say that's a
Leia is ruined for me because Luke and her had that whole incest thing.
That whole incest
yes,
thing?
bro.
It's like one
and then,
kiss.
That's strange.
Like-
Okay, it was just one kiss, man. Now you sounded like some people I know. Dude. You sound like someone from my neighborhood. Shut up. Okay. First of all, Anakin and Padme have better romance than the others. There's Obi-Wan versus General Grievous. That's badass. Anyone who disagrees is a
Solid.
lizard.
It's fine.
Dude, he rides
General
a
Grievous.
lizard.
Yeah, the lizard.
Yeah, the lizard's
Rides a
awesome.
lizard. And General Grievous is totally badass. His song that he gets
He's
that's
tough man with
all on
Chamberlain.
his own,
Yeah.
where he gets the bongo deal going on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That stuff jams.
He got bad cough.
Yeah, he's got. I mean, something's wrong.
He has some
He's got-
respiratory issues. He needs to get that checked out.
He's
He
been
does.
sleeping with some weird robots for sure.
No doubt about it.
That's
He's
what it is.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
telling.
Some old rust buckets, if you know. what
Oh,
I'm saying.
dude, I've seen Mos Eisley.
Yeah. I mean, you get Anakin falls into favor with Darth Sidious.
Great scenes, and Ian McDermott as the
Good.
Emperor is awesome.
Yeah.
That little scene where they're watching like that weird like sperm opera.
Yeah, that. I love it. It's weird, but I love it.
It's weird, but it's very effective.
That's that
Yeah.
turn of the century. They get the new techno, and now they can show fertilization.
Yes. the marvels of modern movies.
Yeah. It's just, I mean, I love that part of the movie because it shows he's a pure motive and he's just falling into a trap that was there for him all along.
Yep.
Anakin is a slave to whatever. Everything in his life always happened to him. If you think about it, he didn't really have much agency at all. He's a victim of. He just gets thrown under the bus every time, and it just.
There's a prophecy. He's got to live it. It's
He was
gonna
the
happen.
chosen one.
Yeah, exactly.
It's terrible, and I love it because I identify with it for some reason. And then you get just freaking the fight with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and then the transformation, and then you get Darth Vader. It's just, I love every bit of it.
It should be amazing. Instead, it's good because they cheapen Darth Vader. Where is Padme? Is she all right? I'm afraid in your anger you killed her.
She was alive. I felt it. No. But that's him.
I understand what it's
twisted into
I understand
something
what it's supposed to be, but the execution sucks. I can't watch it without laughing. I can't take
It's
it
just the last
seriously.
moment that Darth Vader and Anakin there's any crossover. It's like you
It's
ever
his
watch
losing
Breaking Bad
humanity
and
right
you
there.
see
Mhm.
Walter White become Heisenberg?
Sure.
It's like that's what it is. It's the transformation.
I understand what it should be, and it could be used very effectively, but instead they give this iconic villain his like Marlon Brando Stella moment,
Yeah, kind
and
of.
it's
That's
not
That's a good parallel.
yeah. I don't enjoy it. To me, it cheapens.
Okay,
the
well, fine.
storytelling.
Maybe you'll agree with this a little bit more. Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, is my number 2.
Yeah, there you go.
It's good. You've got a good dynamic between Vader and Luke, cat and mouse, and Luke becoming a Jedi. Welcome to the discussion, Yoda. You know, that's what everyone wants.
Sure.
Sock puppet Yoda, live
Yeah.
or die. You get Leia, Han, Chewie, C-3PO, and R2. The squad's all there.
You get C-3PO at his best too,
Yeah,
like his
pretty
most
much.
annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's top notch.
At the end when Chewie's just carrying him on his back.
So
I
good.
can't see.
We all have friends that are C-3POs.
I think I could play a good C-3PO.
You were the friend I was talking about. Of course, you get the Luke and Vader saber battle.
Gotta have it.
So good.
Great, amazing.
That shot of them in the carbonation room.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
The orange lighting.
yeah,
Mhm.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker.
yeah.
But you are not a Jedi yet.
Yeah.
So good. Oh,
Chills. Yeah.
chills and chills,
Yeah.
chills thinking about it.
And then number 3, episode 8. Hot take.
Defender of the Last
Hot take.
Jedi.
I'll say it.
All right.
Rey sucks though. She sucks so much booty.
She's great in The Force
She's
Awakens.
terrible.
And she's not.
She's so terrible in that
Not
movie.
my
She
favorite
doesn't
Last
do
Jedi.
anything. The only reason that I like it is
Kylo Ren's
Ren.
great. He's
awesome.
great. He's awesome.
awesome. I always identify with the villain.
And they got me with like the twist of Luke and the Force apparition.
Yes.
It was awesome.
Dude,
that was
he
one of
projected a Force shadow.
it was one of the
and
coolest
fought him
live
all the way
movie theater
across the
moments I've
universe.
had.
Yeah, that was
And then
amazing.
you see him
He
pass.
brushes off the
Yeah,
yeah.
Mm.
it's awesome. And then you see that he expended all his energy.
Yeah.
No one can maintain that.
Mm-hmm. For me, the Two Sunsets was interesting and beautiful, obviously full circle thing from A New Hope, but I
Yeah.
was like, is this in like the same part of the universe as Tatooine? I thought he'd like gone away to like where it's not on the map.
No, he probably did. They just threw it in for nostalgia's sake
Yeah.
as he was passing.
It was beautiful though.
Yeah.
Mark Hamill's great in that movie as like jaded old hermit Luke.
Yeah.
His performance
Yeah.
is good. I do enjoy that. Kylo Ren's great.
I love Kylo Ren. He kills Snoke.
Yeah, great twist.
Who even the hell is Snoke?
No one's ever gonna know.
I hate that. I hate that, but Kylo Ren makes that movie what it is.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
I love Kylo Ren. And then episode 4 is number 5 for me. New Hope. It's the beginning. I gotta respect it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as big of a fan as both of you are combined, but
My only thing against New Hope that I could see is like there's lots of walking in sand.
Yeah.
For long periods of time.
it bores me
in the
more than
movie.
the other 3 that I mentioned so far. Or 4.
Okay. Okay, I see it.
Number 5 is Attack of the Clones.
You traitor.
Really?
You traitor!
No, Samuel L. Jackson, dude.
Okay. But that's
Sure.
it. That's all it's got.
It has.
I mean, you get to see the...
Anakin and Padme, yeah.
the most cringe-inducing
You think
movie
so?
romance. Yes.
I like it.
Dawson, tell me if this turns you on.
Okay.
I'm talking to you.
Is that okay? Are we making Star
This
Wars
is
into one of
scary.
those movies now?
No, just
Also, I think we should save this idea for
just
another
close
podcast.
your eyes. Close your
The
eyes.
segment is called Dawson. Is this turning you on?
Are you ready?
Okay.
I hate sand.
Yeah, man.
It's rough and
Mhm.
coarse, irritating, and it gets everywhere.
Why are you touching me so much?
Not like you.
This is awkward just to watch.
This is awkward. I'm
And
sorry.
that is exactly what Hayden Christensen and the
No,
beautiful
it's
Natalie
different.
Portman are doing.
But he
And
has the
those
little
cheekbones,
ribbon
though.
thingy.
He does it. The little rat tail.
Yeah,
Awful
yeah.
look.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know, I hate
No
it.
I will
idea.
say, in
That's
Attack the
why it's
Clones,
Solo.
Ewan McGregor rocks a great mullet,
Yeah.
blonde mullet,
Yeah.
blonde beard look. And the best scene in that movie, everyone says it's when the Jedi go in the arena. Don't love it. I love the scene on the Rain Planet with Jango Fett.
yeah.
That's a
a
cool
good
scene. I like that scene.
Yeah.
That's as much as I'll say about Attack the Clones. That's
Attack of the Clones, that's why it's so low. You know? Number 6, though, is Phantom Menace because it's just boring. It's just boring.
Misa ruined franchise.
Yeah. Why did they even throw him in there?
No, you can, I mean, I can't, like, that's the last one for me. But I
Well,
counted the
now,
universe being
Why
bigger,
is it?
right?
Why is it a movie? It opens with a scene about viceroys and trade federations. We don't. That's not Star Wars
Give it
magic.
up. No, we need to...
George Lucas is trying to do this. This is Palpatine's like House of Cards story, and this is how he manipulates like Naboo and the Trade Federation to grant his emergency powers from the Senate. I'm like, that could be like a 3-minute exposition
exactly.
scene.
Yeah. We watched the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They needed a sequel.
The only reason it's at number 6 is because of episode. Did I just go brain dead?
Jedi.
Because episode 6, Return of the Jedi, is at the bottom, dude.
Oh my god.
It sucks, and I'll tell you why. Okay?
Tell me why.
Lando, I hate him. He's
That's
such
racist,
a
man.
random character.
It's
That's
racist.
not. Hey, that's cap. He's a random character. I don't like him.
He's
I don't
not
like
random.
Lando.
He don't have a backstory.
Now that he has
He's
the-
childish.
now that we
He's
have-
childish
Damn.
Gambino.
Dude, he was wedged in there though.
I like him in Empire. He's the guy at Cloud City. He makes
it
the
makes
deal
sense
with
when
the
you think of his
Empire.
backstory now with Solo being out. You know, you can think of their connection that goes
Yeah,
way
but they
back.
built that after just to edify that they knew was poopy.
There had to be something, though.
So-
They acted like they knew each other then. He'd gotten the ship from him then, you know.
I don't agree.
So you're gonna put? Are you saying Lando worse than Jar Jar Binks?
No, Jar Jar Binks sucks.
It's the worst.
But Ewoks,
Yeah, Ewoks are bad.
suck.
They lower it to 3 for
I
me.
would rather have Ewoks than Jar Jar.
The
Agreed.
end pisses me
Ewoks
off.
do something.
Yeah, they're
That this is the culmination of my anger. Is the end of Return of the
Yeah, when they put Hayden Christensen's Force Ghost in.
Where they
Yeah.
freaking put in so many ghosts, dude. Ghost Yoda. What the hell? I wanted to throw up. It's disgusting. It's ass. Heck no.
You're really fired up.
I'm pissed.
You hate Return of the Jedi.
No, you know what's worse than a sock puppet Yoda?
What's worse?
A ghost sock puppet Yoda, dude.
What about Last Jedi? You get Ghost Sock Puppet Yoda.
It's not as bad though because then it's only one. After that, it's like 3 ghosts lined up like it's a firing squad.
So you.
They kept adding people as the.
I know.
So
it's
you
like,
don't-
oh, another ghost.
So you don't hate that? So you do hate that last shot of Luke Skywalker looking back at his mentors and his dad and
Yes, because
I do
they're
gotta
trying
think-
to make it so emotional.
awkward ass conversation. Anakin Skywalker's Force Ghost appears
Yep.
and is with Obi-Wan and Yoda. What did they talk about? Like,
Hey.
Killed those younglings, didn't you?
Treacherous you are.
Treacherous you were. And Obi-Wan's like, what the fuck, man? Like, you killed me.
Exactly.
Like,
Dog.
but in the span of like 2 days, there they are, happy at the end. I do agree, like, that's a little...
It makes me so mad. And then the Ewoks are just like shooting each other out of cannons.
They're playing the Stormtrooper drums.
Yeah,
I love that.
no,
I love the Stormtrooper drums. With the helmets.
Yeah.
It's such a big ball of cheese. And
Dude,
people are like,
no,
you
man.
should have ended the franchise there. And I'm like, go throw yourself in a lake with concrete sheets.
I think the prequels were a fine idea, executed terribly. I would have loved the backstory, and I like the backstory they give us in Revenge of the Sith. That's what I wanted to see when I saw the prequels. I want to see that story.
Right.
I want to see how he turns. Also, Obi-Wan, and he was a dear friend. He says that in A New Hope, and then like they have a not great relationship in the prequels.
Yeah.
Like Anakin's insolent, and he
Yeah.
never listens to Obi-Wan.
That's true.
Obi-Wan's always fed up with him, and then
They
it's
have
like
their moments.
they have that one moment in Revenge of the Sith where they like say goodbye.
Yeah.
And they actually, so I think Revenge of the Sith, they actually try making up that ground.
I love Revenge.
And they do have some like good camaraderie moments, but yeah, when I watch Obi-Wan saying he was a dear friend, I just think about how insolent Anakin is in Attack of the Clones and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, Dawson, I don't know if
I'll
history will remember you well for saying that Anakin and Padme are a great romance.
They are a great romance.
What do you think, Bo? How do you feel about
That's
it?
a hill I'll die on.
Yeah, I don't know. You may have to die alone on that.
Damn it, Bo.
I mean, it had to happen.
I can't believe you
just
put
doesn't
episode
feel-
6 so high. I just...
Episode
Man,
6?
for me,
it's the
you
redemption
have to
story.
think about,
Vader's
you have
arc.
to think of my
Oh.
time. I mean, it's all going to be like,
Sure,
when I
but-
watched it and everything. Those are, if I'm just coming at it from how gratified I was, at least, I get to see the conclusion up to that point and everything, and that's a big deal. Been, I don't even know how long since I saw the first one, so from 77
That's fair.
on.
I think
But-
I just identify
But
with Anakin.
the Ewoks ruin it for me. Like, that's
Yeah,
the
they
thing. Is
suck.
I
Yeah.
didn't want to put them up there as the show, the movie's up there as far, but it's just a nice conclusion. And you get to see the whole thing with Luke, and I mean, it just pays out. He
Luke is
plans it.
great in Jedi. He comes, we first see him in the all black,
Yeah,
and it's like,
exactly.
oh, he's the guy now. Like, because when he leaves Yoda in Empire, it's like, oh, he's still young, he's still developing.
Right.
But now it's Luke in his prime.
Yeah, he's
like his
he's
age 28 season.
achieved, right? He's achieved the kind of the level that you would expect. But he, you can see the struggle with him just with that outfit alone because he's wearing all black, right? So now there's the struggle with the darkness is in there.
Great symbolism.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you feel about the slave Leia outfit?
Dude, what the hell?
It's iconic, man.
What?
It's
No,
iconic.
no, it grosses me out. You got that fat slug just toting all his weight right there behind her. He's like laid out like a lounge lizard, just chilling, dude. His mouth looks like.
It's
You ever
nasty.
go to a retirement home and see people sitting there? They have the Jabba the Hutt mouth. There's like crusty bits at the corners, dude. I'm so.
Next time I'm at Alexian, I'm gonna start pointing Jabba the Hutt mouth.
Oh.
Jabba the Hutt mouth.
You can never not think it.
Jabba the Hutt.
That's
I
horrible, though.
hate that part.
No.
And she's just like it's almost like, come on, dude. What do you? This is a kids movie, right?
Yeah. Well, the last case I'll make for the originals over the prequels, particularly Empire Strikes Back, is the idea of the Force itself, which I think is the most kind of elemental, universally applicable component of the saga. It's all
Sure.
about the Force. And
Yeah.
Yoda, I wrote this down because it's his best quote.
Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. Between me, the tree, the rock, everywhere, even the land and the ship.
And he's talking about the Force. He says, luminous beings are we, not this crude matter. And
Yeah.
yet the prequels
Can we-
makes it all about
Hold on.
the midi-chlorians!
Yeah.
Why?
I know. I didn't need to know.
We should
I didn't need
acknowledge
to know.
that seamless transition.
Yeah, it
that
was
you had
nice.
between
That was
Kristopher and
beautiful.
Yoda.
Did you practice?
A little
Yeah,
bit
yeah,
in
yeah.
the shower
Yeah.
this morning.
Yeah. Yeah. It's good.
It's the Force.
Yeah, it was like I didn't want to know why the Force worked.
Right,
Really,
it's
yeah.
about-
It
it's
makes sense,
Yeah.
but okay. But now it's not magic anymore. It's like little critters. Yeah.
It's magic. It's natural. It exists between all living things.
Yeah.
And now it's like, oh, it's a biological thing.
Yeah, that
You're born with it, or you're not born
pissed
with
me
it.
off too.
Your midi-chlorian count? Oh, it's high. Young bad child actor.
Over 9,000. It's like, dude, no, you killed the magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much. You don't
You-
want to
you-
see behind the curtain.
You even
You
have
don't wanna
Yoda
know.
talking about midi-chlorians.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, he's I've heard him say luminous beings, are we not this crude matter?
Exactly. Some are more luminous than others.
Right. All right. Well,
It's time to make another transition, Bo.
Yeah, right on.
Bo, I hope you're ready for this one.
Oh, this is where it gets down and
new.
dirty.
This is
okay?
different.
This is that fuzzy.
I don't
at
think
the
I was.
end of
This
the-
was mentioned.
at the end of the stack.
All right.
All right, I'll go first, Dawson. We'll alternate.
Non sequitur corner.
I didn't know this was coming, by the way.
Oh, we know.
I know.
So welcome to the non sequitur, Bo.
Okay.
Your first question.
Sure.
Is it stranger to sniff or to touch a stranger?
Sniff.
Why?
Because it implies that they may smell bad, right?
Okay.
You know, and touching, you know, you're like in a bump or.
And it's
whatever,
always
you know.
awkward telling someone.
Shake.
To
I mean, you
smell
shake a lot of hands, but if you leaned in to sniff that dude when you're shaking.
bad. I can
his
never
hand,
tell
you know,
anyone
I
they
mean,
smell bad.
Yeah.
It's my biggest weakness.
Oh, I'll tell you, but I have to know you
from
first.
a peanut allergy.
You know. I'll tell you got a piece of, you know, like spinach stuck in your teeth anytime, but saying you smell funny. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Okay.
What is the fastest you've ever gone behind the wheel of a car?
I don't know. No, like maybe like 140.
No.
Yeah.
What were the circumstances? Just testing her out, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you know, just on a ride
Just
with some
pedal to the metal.
friends.
Yeah.
Ride with friends.
Rocking and rolling. Okay. I'll accept it.
27 South, headed downtown.
It had just opened actually. Yeah. Going up the other way.
Do you ever meditate?
Oh yeah, but not as much as I had been. So when I was doing the yoga, I did a lot more.
Yep.
Just kind of let my practice fall off, which hurts, but it's still very helpful. You know, just to be able to center yourself like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've got the yoga. I got the bowl, right? So I can do
The singing
sound.
bowl?
Yeah, I've got a
Oh,
singing
hell
bowl.
yeah. Those things are tight.
Yeah, it's nice.
Been meaning to get one of those.
But you can do it anywhere, anytime. So
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah.
Sure.
What was your favorite cartoon as a child, and how do you think it formed your sense of humor?
Excellent. There's so many. I like this. I mean, I was a little kid on Saturday morning. I kind of like the Super Friends, and that was probably my best one.
Don't even know what
My
that
favorite
is.
one.
No, I've never
Explain
heard
that
of
to
it.
us, Bo. We're younglings.
Super Friends. So there was the
Max
Max,
is a big
Yeah,
Super Friends
Max.
guy.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
So
Super Friends guy.
basically, it was all of the DC heroes had combined to create the Justice League.
Yeah.
Right? And
Okay.
that was their cartoon, and then there was
Got
all the
time.
bad guys, right? They were always having to defeat them. It's good. So I mean, I like superheroes though. So I was
Yeah.
a comic book kid. So
All right, that's tight.
Yeah.
We should watch that.
We should.
Super Friends. Now I will say, they threw in a pointless couple of characters that were just for kids, which ruined it, right? You know, I mean, up to that point, I think maybe the first season it was all regular superheroes from comic books, and then they threw in these Wonder Twins, right?
Wonder Twins.
And they had dog. They had a dog.
Oh,
And
were
they
they
had
the one that has the
rings? And they could
Oh,
turn
that's
into
so
like
stupid.
form of ice,
Yeah.
and you know, I don't know, like a monkey, you know, or something.
The guy could only turn into like
Animals
water.
or something.
Yeah.
What?
Water.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wait. I got
It'd be like
superpower.
form of an ice skater.
Yeah.
So he can turn into water, but
An ice jet, you know.
it
I
only
mean-
works if they do a fist bump first. And then he can
Exactly.
turn into
Yeah,
dump
so
water.
it was horrible, but originally it was good.
Oh man.
Okay. If you start to bald, is the best move
Start to.
Not you.
The general
Okay.
you.
Oh,
You
yeah.
plural,
Okay,
as
so I'm
Shaw
giving
would
some
say.
advice here. All
If
right.
you start to bald, is the best move to embrace your fate and shave your whole head?
No, I say you.
You hold on. You're one of those hold on guys.
Yeah, but I won't let them like get
Yeah.
long and stringy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I did have a guy that was totally bald that shaved his head that I worked with, and he told me that you should just do Rogaine from the beginning, right? That you don't want to get to that point.
Sponsor Rogaine.
Yep.
We'd like to thank Rogaine for
You're-
sponsoring our show today.
Sorry about that.
Not a sponsor.
But that's what he told me, you know, and I was much younger at the time, and I would say that's pretty sage advice. I mean, might as well chemical, you know,
Yeah.
better living through chemistry, right? You know, if you want your hair,
Okay.
keep it.
I like
instead
that.
of letting it fall out.
That's like
Okay.
a Celine Dion song.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to face that about yourself, though. I'll tell you that. All right, I'm the guy that buys the hair replacement strategy.
Another hair. We didn't
whatever.
plan these, but this is
All
another
right.
hair question.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Can you or have you ever grown facial hair? And if you had to rock facial hair, what would your style be?
Oh, I've never really worn it much.
Okay.
I've let it go like
But you
one
can.
time just for fun.
You have the ability to.
Yeah, but I mean, it's all like half white now. So I've always.
Silver fox is
Ladies
in.
love-
I don't
People
want any
love
of that.
the silver fox look, Bo.
Yeah, it ain't great when it's coming out of your face.
No, you're gonna
You
look
know?
like Colonel Sanders out on the street, you know?
No, I'm okay.
Finger licking, finger licking.
Yeah, you can just say that at random intervals and people be like,
They would accept it. They'd be,
Yeah.
this guy. So,
It was a thing in
To
the
answer
emergency
the-
services.
but
Like
the
I was
second
kind
part
of
of
a
the
rare
question.
dude.
Yeah.
Like in paramedicing, I was a rare guy without a mustache.
so what would your style be?
I
if you had
don't, I don't really know the names of the styles at all.
Just like show us with your fingers and I'll explain
Yeah.
it to the people.
Matthew Brady Civil War, like.
Oh,
Yeah, like
that would be awesome if I could. I don't know if I'm
Get
capable of something that beautiful.
the Fu Manchu,
No, I
That
know
would
what
be
that
powerful.
is.
Tibetan singing bowl and the Fu Manchu.
I don't know. Probably like depends on the age of my life, but I would assume that
Okay.
now it would just
Yeah.
be like a regular kind of like
Chops and
right,
goatee.
beard, just a
Yeah.
full on, just
Okay.
to get the beard. I would think now.
I see you.
But-
I see you with the white
Yeah.
soul patch that
Soul
goes all the way
patch.
down.
Oh,
to
Well,
your
I was
belly
gonna say,
button.
when I was younger, it would definitely would have been there would have been a soul
Oof.
puff for
Yeah.
sure.
Little soul puffage.
Yeah, a little something here, a little something.
Is religion responsible for more bad or more good overall?
That's hard to say. I really think about that a lot because, I think probably if you just go overall, if you just take all the times if you want to just blame or assign like a role for religion in everything, then the cumulative times where basically nothing is happening, there's good things happening, right? So I would say it would have to be, the cumulative time would have to be good.
Yeah.
But in general, the violent, horrible things we remember about history and things tend to be
Yeah.
because religion was used in a negative way.
Yeah.
Which, I really feel like even today, religious extremism on all fronts. I mean,
Generally not a good idea, yeah.
yeah, it's bad, right?
Yeah.
Because literally, then it's your way or the highway, and a lot of the time people get armed up, and that's it.
Yeah.
Because the people that don't have the guns lose, and they're
the,
wrong.
The logical conclusion of that is conflict.
Yeah.
There can't be two extremes because then
Right.
they're gonna intercede with each other.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah. It's anytime you have the my way or the highway attitude, there's a problem.
Yeah.
Right, regardless of what it is, of religion alone, because more than anything, right? Because you're supposed to listen to your God more than, at least what I was told, more than anything else.
Yeah.
Right, and that's your thing.
Even when it contradicts. what
Yeah,
you
I mean, like
think.
I remember my father telling me when I was a little kid, there's God, family, work.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was taught.
That's the Holy
That's what I
Trinity.
was taught
Yeah.
right there, and that's if you
Not
if you
close.
buy, and I'm not saying that I like subscribe to any particular like version of religion, but that's probably the way some people live.
Yeah.
Right. More, there's not flexible. Right. I mean, and so
It builds an inflexible reality.
if you are completely devoted
Yeah.
to it, and your passion,
Or at least
and your
that
passion
particular
is
brand.
put to your religion, right?
Yeah.
And then just the fervency of that leaves no room for. I mean, even though our religion, at least if you're a Christian, like taught forgiveness and everything, there's apparently only one way,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Paradox.
Yes.
All right, well, Bo.
Yeah.
That was pretty deep.
I can get deep, but I don't want to. But it's okay. I'll be held to it later.
Write that down. All right, Bo. I'm glad you wore your flip flops though. In all
Okay.
seriousness, because
For
I
a
have
reason.
a question for you.
Sure.
I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
Off the top of the dome, explain why flip flops are the perfect extended metaphor for life. I'll give you 5 seconds.
Mississippi, my flip-flop is.
Okay, so flip-flops are the most perfect metaphor for life. Is that
Right.
okay.
That's what you're
your
telling
argument.
us, apparently.
It's certainly-
I don't know why you would
This
think
doesn't
of
make
this,
much
Bo.
So-
sense. Let's hear it.
I don't know how you came to this conclusion.
Seems like a bad idea.
A flip-flop.
Who wrote this
could-
down?
It must be some sage dude out there somewhere. All right.
Snow Bear
So-
out there in the flops. Flop gang.
Well, I mean, wearing flip-flops can certainly be a wonderful metaphor for life, and then you should take things easy, right? And they should not be complicated, and they should be very customized to you and what you enjoy doing, instead of trying to put yourself in something that doesn't fit for you.
time
Right.
constricting.
Right, absolutely. Instead, it should be a comfortable and almost mutually beneficial kind of relationship where they're forming to you, and your feet are getting used to them, and and they're
Reciprocated.
yeah, and they're not hard to deal
Like
with.
good loving.
Yeah.
Ooh. so the idea is that it is, the most perfect metaphor for life, and that they should basically be perfect for you, right? And take care of them.
What a wonderful comparison, Bo. I don't know how you thought of it, but
I have no clue.
That's
sponsored by UFU.
UFUs, that's right. Send me some.
Not sponsored, but you could be. Good loving.
I'm-
Hey, that's a new
UFU's
motto.
new motto.
That's your new motto. Good pair of flip flops is like good loving.
There you go.
Don't take life / shoes too seriously.
Mm-hmm.
We got you, UFU. We ready.
Gotcha.
Private jet or yacht?
Oh, totally, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have any advent. I mean,
It's a little less expedient.
but that's okay because
you're
the
on the
quest
water.
is the quest. It's not how fast you get there, right?
This
Another good
man-
UFU motto.
There you go. Yep. Hey, there you go.
Out here slinging brands to UFU. All right, how about this?
All right.
Genie in a bottle. The classic question. What are your 3 wishes?
Do I get relief from the monkey's paw on this? So y'all know
Sure,
what that
Bo.
is?
I know what you're talking about.
The story. Every time you make a wish, there's always a bad consequence to it. So in the monkey's paw,
there's
you
no
never
monkey
read that
paws.
story. You never read that story?
No monkey paw.
Okay, yeah. There's this one where basically you had a monkey that had like the curl. It had 3 fingers sticking out or something. You made a wish, one would curl up, and you would get your wish, but then it would have massive negative consequences, right? And every wish, right, is like that. And so there's a subreddit called the monkey's, maybe the monkey's fist.
Yeah.
All right, and so the idea is simply.
The milkmen don't monkey fist.
All right,
No.
thank God. That sounds way not okay.
Milkman
All right.
does not a monkey fist.
All right.
A milkman does not a monkey fist make. That's
It's, I don't know, I've really often thought of, because there are negative consequences to all of them, that I didn't even want to be able to choose, right? So I could do simple, trite things, like, like world peace, but then you have this perfect example of the wish in The Simpsons where, the aliens come and beat us up because they have a board with a nail in it, right? Or something. So, I would love everybody to be able to live their very best life and never have to worry for anything. I have no idea how to phrase that kind of
I think the
wish.
genie would understand.
Right? Probably. If it's a, if it's a benevolent genie.
This is a benevolent genie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Will Smith.
All right. Ooh. No. Okay.
Forbidden topic.
Well, just a,
Sandwich, pair of UFUs.
yeah, there it is. For everybody just to be able to have that wonderful life that they deserve out there. It's just, life's too good to suffer. And I know there's a lot of suffering, and it's all because we want things that we can't have. So maybe something simpler. I don't know.
Like a pair of UFUs.
They're fancy. They're simple. Designed by the
All right.
greatest technology.
Beach house or lake house?
Beach.
Beach?
Yeah, well, that's mostly a nod to my wife, probably.
Okay. That's
I like-
important.
she-
I hope
Shout out
she's
wife.
listening.
Yeah, Tammy loves the beach. Wants to
Shout
retire
out
there.
Tammy.
If somebody's giving away a house, we'll take one on the lake, and I love the lake too. But
Mm-hmm.
You take your
Beach.
yacht to either.
yeah, there it is. So park the yacht, the beach house. That's
Where
like
your
we're
roof
living.
is.
Exactly.
And you get a yacht. Look under your
And
chair.
you get a
Bo.
yacht. And you get a yacht. And you get a yacht. Yeah, beach probably. Although
I agree.
I would like riverside if I had the choice.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm looking for that flowing water.
Mhm.
Right, where you go to the top, put in, and paddle home
Yeah,
or something.
seal entry.
Yeah, I'd be good with that.
All right. Cats or dogs? And argue your choice.
Oh. This is a really tough one because they really provide different things.
They do. Except one of them.
Which things do you prefer?
Except one of them is a ruthless predator.
Well, I
Doesn't
admire
love you
that
back.
though. No, but
Cats.
that's the thing is that cats choose you, right? It's it's harder to be a cat owner because they have to choose up on you because they are so ruthless. I've always had both, so I can't really say.
They probably eat you. What
They
you
would.
die-
If you die, they eat you.
Yeah.
If they die, you eat you. But that's the thing is,
That's
it's
what
like
I would do too. Probably.
if an animal like dogs have just the capacity for endless love. They're going to teach you how to love, but you don't have to do much to earn that, right? But a cat, you have to figure that cat out and be a thing with it, So it's a different relationship. You want just blind loyalty, doggo, right? They're the best, right? I love them. They're the best. You got to cry hard when my dogs die. Like I lost a child.
Like
So,
an ugly. Like
yeah,
an ugly cry.
yeah, ugly cry.
I've
I
heard
miss
some
them.
say that it's much worse than losing a child.
We lost our first baby was a golden retriever that we had for 17 years. That was brutal.
And of all the dog breeds, that
They're
would-
so sweet. That's all we do. We have a new one named Moose that's 5 months old now.
They're perfect dogs.
They're so sweet.
All right, next question.
Okay,
Paul McCartney or John Lennon?
Lennon.
Lennon guy.
Yeah, for real.
Is it for the music or the personality?
In general, just the whole person,
mixture.
the whole thing. You know, not that McCartney isn't fan-freaking-tastic. I'm just saying Lennon was my thing.
Lennon,
Yeah.
Respect. What's your favorite snack to eat when no one's watching you?
Ooh. I'll eat cookie dough.
Yeah.
Good.
At a man.
Good.
At a man. That's a
Yes,
man's
sir.
choice.
The
Yeah.
Milkmen approved.
Cookie
That's
dough.
You know what
Milkmen
happens
stamped
when you,
approved.
you know what happens when you're a man? You go in the kitchen.
Yeah.
You open the fridge and you slap that lid off that cookie dough.
Yeah.
Fling it.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's your
Hit
life.
your dog in the face with it.
I mean,
Yep.
it's
You're wearing only a loincloth.
and oopus.
Yeah.
That's it. You got a little bit of Rogaine going on.
That's
but
right.
You don't care.
Nope.
Because it's cookie dough time.
do it. Do it. Live your best life.
All right. Bo, do you think you'd thrive more in prison or in war?
War.
Wow. That was no hesitation. You know why? Because Bo doesn't mess around in war.
I'm small. I get killed in prison. War.
That's true.
You know, I can at least be clever. Right?
Yeah.
You know,
You got
I've
soft
had.
hands, boy.
I don't want to go to prison.
No,
I can,
me neither.
but in war, I might.
It's scary.
I got a chance to make it, and maybe horrible consequences.
Yeah.
But you know,
Yeah, I don't think I'd be great in either, but in war I could get luckier.
well, I was a paramedic for 7 years, so I've seen pretty intense, life-threatening
You
situations.
probably help
and
more
stuff.
people.
I would be happy to
Yeah,
be
your passion
I
could
would
be
be help.
exercised in war more than in prison.
I would help people in war. So that would
You can help people in prison.
You can help
You can start like a book club.
You can help
Yeah,
people.
nope, nope.
Prison's scary.
Nope.
Prison is very
Yeah,
scary.
I don't want to go.
Yeah, I'm out.
Mm-mm. You gotta be a criminal to get in prison. I don't want to be one.
Good quote.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about this, but how did you and your wife first meet?
She was we both guided at the same rafting outpost at the river. She was a trainee my second year, and so I met her then, and we kind of dated off and on for a little while. Then we got kind of serious, and we got married. You know, I mean, we got married on the side of the river, and
Really?
yep,
Yeah.
and a rafting outpost that I think is defunct now, maybe called the Coe Adventures Rafting.
I think that one is.
It's a love story, baby, just
River
say.
Love, we were great.
Yeah.
It's a nice place.
You should write a book about it called River Love.
Nope.
River Loving.
Nope. We're glad that there wasn't cell phones days. You know, no books.
If you found yourself in Oedipus's shoes, what would your reaction be?
Is that it? I mean, that would have been it.
Yeah, that's right. That's pretty fair.
That's
Yeah.
good.
No, you.
Yeah.
And
Would you
would I
you
kill
blind
by myself? I'd probably just kill myself. Right?
Okay.
Why would you
So
blind
you'd go. You
That's
wouldn't
what I
stop
would
at the
do, too.
eyes.
No, that makes sense though. If you want to suffer, make yourself suffer even more. But I would not have had that forethought. I'm certain.
Yeah,
You know.
same here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the same boat. What do you think you were in your past life?
I don't know. I don't feel like I've had a lot of lives around because I'm still too curious about everything and I'm so chill. So I have no idea. If I was good, I got to move up. Is that what we're thinking? So I don't know.
Sure.
Maybe I was a dog or something.
Ah,
Yeah.
I can see
Golden
that.
retriever?
Yeah,
I could see
exactly.
being a golden
I
retriever.
could be a
For
golden
sure.
retriever. I could be a golden
I get strong vibes. Which Marvel superhero are you?
Out of all of them?
Yeah.
It's really hard. That's
Hulk.
not my thing. No,
I'm the Hulk, dude.
I can't Hulk out. like
I
that.
Hulk out better. I Hulk out
You're
hard.
Dawson's a Hulker.
Wow. That was my
You're
nickname
hulky.
in high school.
Hulkster.
Hulky.
Hulky.
Hulker.
I could be Doctor Strange.
I see Doctor Strange
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
You remind me of Benedict Cumberbatch a little bit.
Okay.
No, like
All right.
the similar ambiance.
Well, all right. Then.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take it. He's got
Less
the chill.
less British.
Yes, definitely.
A little bit.
He's prettier than me.
Yeah.
A lot prettier.
He's younger.
You're pretty well.
Thanks.
I'm sure the guys in prison agree.
Exactly. That's the problem. Right?
We're gonna have people calling in from prison like,
I hope not.
when I get out.
Not that, I mean, I respect you if you're incarcerated, and I
Hey,
absolutely,
hey,
totally
you
understand.
had a bad lawyer.
Yeah,
That's what it
exactly.
was, man. Seriously.
Man, I just, I hate the system that you're stuck in.
Yeah.
Amen.
I
Well
agree with
said.
that. I agree with
Shout
that.
out to all our listeners in prison.
What are they listening
Man, I just want
on?
everybody to be able to live their
What
best
do you
life.
think
I
they're
know that's
listening
not
on,
it.
dude?
But I know there are people out there that
Pigeon?
have to be sequestered from the general
Yeah.
population because they will kill everybody
Yeah.
or do other worse things.
What about this one?
Yep.
Who is the most interesting person that you know?
Floyd Celapino.
Good answer. I think I
Floyd
agree.
Celapino. I don't know him that well, but there's never interaction with him where I'm not like feeling enriched. Yeah.
You should get to know him better.
I would like to.
That should be on your bucket list.
Yeah.
That should be on everyone's bucket list.
Amen.
Everyone listening.
Love Floyd.
When was the last time you took a bath?
This morning. Well, you mean an actual bath? Like
yeah,
in
like
the
a
tub?
bath, like in the tub.
Probably like 5 days
Sniff
ago.
a stranger.
Five days ago?
I take, I get sore.
You're a bather.
I get sore.
Okay, so it's a physical therapy thing.
Yeah, I do the Epsom salts and stuff.
When was the last time you took a bath with bubbles?
With bubbles?
Yeah.
5 days ago, because I'm in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, why not?
Nice.
You're in the bathroom throwing bubbles.
I mean, there might be some smelling good bubble stuff over there from somebody else in my family, so I mean, might as well.
Might as well.
I mean, I'm gonna have to get up but I'm one of those dudes. I'll get up when I'm done and I'll take a little quick shower, kind of rinse all.
Yeah.
Of course.
So I don't mind.
Human being, you mean?
I don't mind. I don't mind that.
All right. This one's easier to answer. I feel like. Which of your offspring is your favorite?
Oh, simple. This one's great. Do I have to just pick one?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
right
the
now?
question.
Awesome.
Who's your favorite today?
Who's my favorite today?
No,
I can't.
Boy.
I can't just. I can't choose. I've been thinking about
All right, then you get to
my
brag
middle
about your
child.
kids.
Okay, my kid. Okay. Well, Zoe's going off to Ecker College. I'm pretty proud of that. Right. She got a bunch of money to go there. Right. And she
Heck
wants
yeah.
to do that. So, she worked a lot harder in school than me and had much better grades. So I totally respect her effort and everything she's done to get there. I know it was not easy. Even if you were a very gifted student, that's not easy. So she worked super hard, and I was super pumped. And she's obviously the most mature in the whole house. Like Tammy and I say, she's the mom. Right?
Yeah.
She's always like calling and checking on us, and like just everything. Like,
Where did that come from?
when are you gonna be home? Are you gonna, are y'all gonna be okay? Yeah. It's raining. I mean, like don't forget your jacket. I'm like, stop.
Do you have a curfew? Does Zoe give you a curfew?
No, but she worries if we aren't home before she goes to bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we try to do that for her.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she's going off, and I think she's as long as she doesn't mother everybody. Although she can't be the bad roommate. I'm telling you, you have to clean up after yourself. I'm saying it, right? That's the way it is. Nobody likes the bad roommate, right? Don't leave stuff in the sink, right? Yeah, absolutely. So my daughter, Emma, right, is also known as Frankie, and that's a thing for us, right? So I'm very proud of that person, right, as they are on their journey. They're right now out in Oregon on an outward bound rafting trip on the Deschutes.
All right.
Yeah. For LGBTQ youth, right? And they're going to go to the Pride Parade in Portland.
Heck yeah.
And I'm proud of that person.
Yeah.
And so and fantastic artist. Like I will show you all this thing when I'm done. He took the World History class, I think, with Dr. Cushman this year, AP.
Yeah.
And at the end, they were talking about Soviet propaganda posters.
Some of the best
Yeah.
propaganda posters.
Fantastic. And the art is like
Top 10
stark power.
propaganda.
Anyway, there's been one crafted, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
it's a good one.
Nice.
It's a really good one.
Yeah.
It's
Is it
beautiful.
like Stalinist or Baylor propaganda?
Well, I mean, it's Baylor.
In the Soviet
In
style?
the Soviet
Yes.
style.
I love it.
I
Yeah,
love that.
yeah.
We should
so it's good.
post those around campus.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Throw them up.
Well, I
Let
mean,
the
I'm
people
going to
see.
have a couple good sized ones printed up. I told Mr. Montgomery I'd get him one, and Dr. Cushman wants one.
Heck
So,
yeah.
I'm going to get one too. And then
I'm
one
pumped
for
to see
Eve,
that.
one for Frankie. So it's going to be. I'll show y'all later. It's solid. It's solid. Solid effort.
Nice.
We couldn't print it on the first try because we didn't know about DPI and all sorts of stuff like that. We'll figure that out. And then Shiloh, I mean, he's my boyo, right? So dads like their little boys and want to strangle them all at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But he's great, and he seems to have transitioned. One of the big motivators for me to come back to Baylor was because I was in the middle of a career at the public school. It was on fire, but I could not get him. It was great, man. I mean, I was doing some good work, right? I was going to move up, or my plan was, right, to do that, and I seemed to be in favor with everything that would be necessary. So, but I gave that up to come and teach so that I could make sure Shiloh could go to Baylor.
That's awesome. Yeah.
He, a teacher man can't sometimes afford things, right? I mean, so you have to do other things to make it work. And it has been like, of course, it's the greatest transition professionally I could have ever made. But I wanted it to be the best thing for the school and for my family really bad. And so hopefully it's worked out. He did get to he got the class elected speech for 8th grade, right, for the
yes,
commencement.
sir.
I remember you left senior
Yeah,
trip to go see
that's
that.
why.
I
So
said, get out of here,
it was
Bo, go
worth
see that.
it was worth the price of admission, that's for sure. It was good. So he's been He seems to have found a little niche. He games, so you worry when you're an adult and you've never seen a kid game this hard. But I get it, and it's a thing. Like, I'm not going to turn my back to what's really going on out there with video games and esports and everything. It's a real thing. So I just don't want him to miss a lot of the other stuff that I enjoy that's more organic.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
we're going to work with him on finding the balance there.
Yeah.
But I love them all. I can't choose possibly at all one. They're good. Yeah.
Are you jaded with politics?
In general?
Yep.
I feel like it's just the way it is. So we're just going through some kind of weird cycle. It's a huge reactionary thing, and I think it's exacerbated greatly by social media.
Yes.
Right? And disinformation. Right? If we could have only seen this coming. And it's just with that whole fascination with celebrity and everything in America, and then the ability to manipulate the way you see things through slow feed of information by well-meaning algorithms that divide people instead of bringing them together. I mean, it's just.
It seems like just picking the lesser evil always. That's the game that you play when you.
But it's important that we actually pick the lesser one.
Right.
Right. Right. And I think that we'll see I think as a reaction to this kind of more extreme administration now, whenever it does end, eventually it's just like always, the political pendulum swings back. And so we'll see, hopefully, a rise in like politics just by younger people in general. I think that's more important. We've let the old guard run the show for a really long time, and I'm not a huge fan of that. I mean, fresh perspectives are valuable, and I know that it happens theoretically and through generational change, and that's something to expect. But boy, some people have held power for so long. I just would like to see fresh faces, I guess, and a willingness to listen to each other in a way that we definitely don't have right now. But I don't know if we'll ever get back because of social media. Like, you get your own reality tunnel, like the author said.
That's well said.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes this thing where everybody else is wrong and you're right.
Into their own reality too.
And there's just no way that you're right, and or that you could both be right, sorta, and both be wrong, sorta. We've got to be willing to find that common ground, and I don't know how to do that at all right now. I mean, if I did, I would write a book or something, because people just don't seem to be willing to listen, or at least
a couple books you got to write.
I know, you got Secret It Never Rains.
Yeah,
River Lovin'.
Yeah,
River Lovin'. Get that one out there.
Yeah.
River Lovin', Bo Chamberlain.
We will change the names to protect the innocent. That's for sure. Yeah. Okay.
All right. If you were a spy, what would your fake name be?
Ooh.
Let's pretend I'm a Soviet guard and I just asked you, what is your name? And now you just got on a spot.
Steve Sanborn.
That's good. That's good. The gun gesture, though, a little off-putting, but I'll allow it.
Yeah, y'all didn't see that.
I got you. I definitely raised 2 fingers. Right,
would you rather spend a weekend with Teddy Roosevelt or Bob Marley?
Man, Teddy started the national parks. That'd be pretty fun.
Yeah.
Bully. Bob would be great, but he's just a weed-smoking musician. There's a lot of those.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got a beautiful insight on the world, but Teddy. Right, Teddy, that's a once in kind of like humanity kind of experience, right?
Great white fleet.
Yeah,
walking with a big stick.
Walk tall and carry a big stick.
Let's go for a hike, shall we?
It would definitely be dated. You'd definitely know you were talking to someone from that time.
I mean, Bob would be great too, though. I mean, I really choose Bob
over
some of my history.
Fellow sentient. I might pick Teddy Roosevelt as well.
Just because. If I could, I'd definitely do it.
If I could take him with a walk in a park.
If I could flip it with like John Muir and do that one.
Ooh, for sure.
Yeah, I'd do that one more. Teddy and now I'm backtracking on Bob Marley because hey, who?
Bob Marley? Yeah. Play some music.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. If you could live in a different time period, would you and when?
Interesting. I've never really contemplated this very much.
Yeah.
Everything else seemed to be horrible, though.
I have my answer, though.
Yeah.
I picked the Jurassic period.
Oh, I'd go with dinosaurs. Who live like this minute?
Oh.
Be that it. Oh, got eaten.
I feel like I could become one with the dinos.
I'd be a Norseman.
I'd be the
I'd go on raiding party campaigns.
Really?
As a Viking. That is good, actually.
Yeah. But you'd die from like a horrible
dysentery.
Yeah. I would be eaten. That's so much cooler.
Yeah.
Either that or a meteor.
Or a meteor.
Seiko. Roaring 20s, Norsemen.
The Roaring 20s would be
Dinosaurs.
pretty fun, probably, if you had the money and the location, right? You know,
Yeah.
just being in the 20s would kind of suck a lot of the time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, maybe like the Age of Exploration would have been cool.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, that would have
Going
been really
west.
neat. Right? No, I mean, like the 16, like,
Oh, you mean
like,
the Age of Exploration?
yeah. Like, let's get on with Portugal and
Uh-huh.
go find the new world. You
In
know?
the Caravan.
Although riding one of those little things across the ocean would be
You'd
the
also
scariest
probably
thing
die of
ever.
dysentery.
Oh yeah, likely, or scurvy.
Yeah.
Being
Or
20 in the Civil War.
smallpox.
Hardtack.
No
Be a good one.
thanks. Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be horrible.
Is it true that Dr. John Miller used to bring his pet rat to inner circle meetings?
This is something I've never heard, so no. Not during my time, but he may have gotten the rat later, right? But not that I'm aware of. It
Okay.
could have been before my time, after my time. I'd remember a rat. That's for sure.
Write that down.
Okay.
Write that down, write that down.
Not in 88 to 90, I would
Yeah.
think, you know.
I mean, how long does a rat live? Long enough. You should have seen it if it was there.
Excellent.
No, because I mean,
Max,
after
man,
90,
Max,
I
how
mean,
long does a rat live?
he could have
It's
gotten
extremely important.
he could have gotten a rat in 1991. I would have never seen it. It would have become a legend.
Oh, great. All right, next question. We'll get back on that rat lifespan.
Yep, gotta have it.
Cake or pie? I'm a big pie guy.
Yeah.
Big pie guy.
I rock with cake.
Dude, you a fool.
I'm sorry.
Cheesecake.
Cheesecake's good. Oh, well, now I'm gonna
See, that's
change
kind of
my
like a
answer.
pie. It's like a pie.
It kind of is, yeah. It really is more like a pie than it is a cake.
Fair.
Cheese pie doesn't sound as good though. It sounds not.
Typically around the house is cake, I would think. You know, if we're making something as cake. We don't do as many pies, so that must show
Okay.
some kind of like bias towards it, regardless.
It's just you're weak as a person, maybe.
Oh, I like a pecan pie.
There you go.
Max, you have it?
Pie's just
Alright.
more hearty, you know.
The brown
They're easy
rat
to make.
lives 2 years, and the black rat lives 12 months.
Oh,
So there it is.
So it's going to be a brown rat.
Yeah.
If you're a rat.
Brown
So
rat
it's
gang.
very
Yeah.
short lifespan. Could have been any time and still been legendary.
Right. Should young girls look up to Disney princesses?
No, I hate Disney in general, just kind of for the whole
There you go.
like
Sounded like a
control
no.
of children's imaginations and limiting their perspectives on everything. So,
So you'd say yes.
those stereotypical ones, like in the 50s, made sense when that was the social model, right?
Pocahontas.
But now,
Oh, God.
I mean, that's the thing is they manipulate.
What's the
I mean,
message there?
Yeah.
that Native American women don't look like Native American women. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, she's 12 and she
Right.
looks like like an Olympic athlete. I definitely would say that the modern, like more empowered ones, I'm good with that. You know, I mean,
I like Brave.
yeah.
Really, yeah. I mean,
It's
it
in
kind
the
of
wrong.
flies under the radar.
And I will say that I haven't seen a lot in the last few years.
Yeah.
My kids kind of aged out of
Yeah.
it, so we don't do that anymore. And I'm not a
And
devotee.
you've aged out of it as well?
I'm not a devotee. I'm just not a thing. It's not
Yeah.
a thing. If they're on, I'll watch it. You know, I mean, but I just don't go seek it out because there's a new Disney movie. Because there's always a new freaking Disney movie, and they own everything. They own Star Wars. They own
They do. They have their own
everything.
streaming service.
I know.
Insane.
I just don't. I'm not a big fan of these big conglomerations
Yeah.
of information and entertainment. Like they get to decide what everybody likes. That's
Yeah.
just not
Mass hypnotization.
Well, they're evil
Yeah,
because
marketing.
they've put all their content out on Netflix just so they can pull it
Yeah.
when they start their own service.
nice.
It's genius
Mhm,
and
exactly.
awful. And, yeah.
Genius.
It surprises me they hadn't done it a long time ago. To be honest,
Mhm.
I mean, when I heard they were doing it, I was like, oh, of course. Right? You know, why not?
Is perfection of anything possible?
No, I don't think so.
I agree.
Yeah.
Say no more.
Good answer. Have you ever wielded a sword?
Even for a brief.
Yes.
time.
Well, I mean, I was in the players, so I
Hell
did a sword fight with Paris, and I was Paris and against Romeo. So I got killed in that.
Boy.
Yeah, and
So your first one.
I
didn't
have
go
a
that
sword.
well.
I actually have a sword.
You have a sword?
I have an actual sword.
Let's
Is
hear
it like a
the story
saber?
It's a it's a family
Samurai
sword.
sword.
It's
Does it have a name?
it's got it's like got Hiram Chamberlain's name on it. It was his Knights Templar sword.
Does it have a sword
No.
name? A Knights Templar?
Yeah, that was a thing.
No.
National treasure!
Dude.
Yeah, that was a
Oh
thing.
my
Like it was like
God.
I guess it was a Mason society that he was a captain in the military, right? So he has a
Whoa.
parade sword.
That's powerful.
But there's a bunch of them out there. Like you can find these family swords out there. So I've got one. It says Hiram S. Chamberlain on it. We've had it since he was in the military, and It's got a silver sheath.
You should bring it to work every day. Just like a walking stick.
Well, I've got my
Just carry it on your belt.
Yeah.
I've got my uncle's parade sword from Baylor hanging up over my desk too.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's dope. Is love selfish?
Love is. I'm trying to remember the quote. It's like it's everything, basically. It can be. It wants to be, but like depends on it. Romantic love, is that what you mean? Or
Yeah.
do you, romantic love tends to be at first, especially because you want that person to love you, right? Even if they don't love you
Feeding
back
into
the
your
right
own
way.
aspirations.
Yeah. But in general, like love is not selfish. It's kind and good, giving and everything. Like the purest love isn't selfish.
The purest love is a giving love.
Yeah, it's a giving love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Should Santa be prosecuted for breaking and entering?
I would assume there's kind of an unwritten social contract with this dude to be able to get in.
FBI know him well.
Yeah, I would assume that, right?
I've got a special pass.
now if he's breaking into a house that says no Santa, I'm gonna say there's something different there, right?
Like a Jewish house.
Or
Santa breaks into a Jewish house.
Atheist house.
Or an atheist house.
Yeah.
Right.
Any non-Christian home.
Yeah.
I know non-Christians who celebrate Christmas.
I do too.
So should he be prosecuted for that?
Do we need to call
someone?
No, but I think if you set up the tree and you expect him, so you have to set up the tree and all the stuff to get him to come.
Okay.
Right? So if you do set it all up and you're drawing him in, it's like hunting over bait, right?
Then
That's
it's
like
entrapment.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That's a concise answer. What's the cheesiest dad joke that you know?
I know you have so many. You're probably.
No, I know they're just doing it there. It's a
I always get like
cauldron of
brain
cheese.
lock when people put me on the spot. Though.
Okay, that's fine.
All right, give me a second.
All right,
brain will
all right,
loosen
we
up.
might come back to it.
Okay, yeah.
Hey Dawson.
Hey.
How you doing?
Pretty well.
Okay.
All right.
That's enough of that. That conversation.
Oh, okay.
I want it to stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. My bad.
All right, Bill. You ready?
No, but I will. No, I can't give you that. I could give you a pretty. No, that's not. See, I know a lot of rap problem.
Indecisive moments with Mo.
My problem is that all the jokes I know are raft guy jokes, and they can't be aired in the public forum. I'm just gonna say. And they overpower the dad jokes happen organically. It's almost like instantaneous.
Is it something we can put dolphin squeaks over?
To bleep it?
Yeah.
No.
Max?
No. If I can think of one of those, I'll let you have it.
Okay.
Right,
Let them have it.
All right, how about this one? This is my PG-13 joke.
Let's
And I
go.
would tell this pretty much in any rap.
We're on the edge of our seats.
All right. So it's not a good joke. It's like a dad joke.
Okay.
All right. So what's the difference between kinky and perverted? Oh, you're wrong. Kinky, you use the feather. Perverted, you use the whole bird.
What? That's pretty good.
All right. Disclaimer: I'm like 12 inside. All right, I'm sorry. I may be
You
an
can't
adult
blame
on
him.
the
That's
outside.
entrapment.
That is one of my rap guy jokes I used for like 25 years.
We were
now,
hunting
right?
over bait
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Are athletes overpaid?
Yeah. I mean, not for the money that's earned by the industry.
Mm-hmm.
The industry.
Male athletes, yes.
Well, I mean, just in. Well, I mean, I
Even
think,
then, it's still the industry
I think that we spend
itself
too
that-
much. Yeah, we spend too much money on that when we're like,
I-
oh my gosh, the country needs to learn to read. If there was only something we could do, or we could buy a new football stadium. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody's just constantly obsessed with this because we need diversion to get away from the stuff that could be made better, but we're just not having the political and social will to put that kind of effort and focus into it.
I poop on sports pretty hard because I don't understand that
I would-
people are most of the time.
No, I mean, I get sports are important
to
for
that
developing
degree,
some
though.
people,
Yeah.
but I mean, you can totally do it without it. So
Yep,
like
for sure.
Finland does it without it. Like best educational system in the world. I took this like I was in this fellowship and we had read a book about it at one point, and they just don't sport. Right,
Yep.
and I mean, and if you want to do it, then you can belong to a personal club afterwards, right? But they put all their time and effort into educating the kid, and not all their time and effort into making sure that the people that they hire can coach and maybe teach this class.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
perfect.
it's the idea. The idea is simply that education is the job of the educational system.
Yeah.
Right, and to them, right? To us, it's like a combo of sports and, building the whole child, and it's just different.
Seems to be that
right?
way, yeah.
Yeah, it's different. So they put a lot of time into it, and from a school perspective, sports is very important for the alumni base because that allows them to connect back through, and they were often very meaningful experiences for them. And so, if you want to build a school culture, then you have to have school activities, and you can't. It's hard to rally around report card day, right? So you definitely see it with sports in a lot of places, and it's an important part of a lot of the country's life. But I do feel there's a bit of an overemphasis, especially when money's tight. Like, if it's your luxury to do that, do it as much as you feel like, that's kind of the private model, is that if you can afford to do anything, do it. But if we really need more teachers, or we need more middle schools, or we need better whatever, we need to
touch the brakes a little bit.
But that's heresy. In the South especially, it is.
Yes.
You're not defined by your ACT score that year. It was your grade ACT score. It was what was the football team's record that year.
Yeah,
and that's hard, man, for poverty people. It should be, you can do better. Not just participate in this one little thing. I get that's big important for people. I don't want to hate on it, but.
Well, what's your favorite flower, though?
Daffodils.
Oh, good choice.
Very good choice.
I like perennials, right? And they're just cool. They remind me of my family and all the yards I grew up in.
I like daffodils. I like tulips. I'm a tulip guy.
You would be.
Okay, next question. Would you rather have fought in the Pacific or European theater of World War II?
Probably European, if I had to choose, right? And
I
I don't know how.
Baton Death March guy?
It's just a lot of time on boats. It's a lot of time on boats.
Yeah.
You had to just. My grandfather was in the Pacific, and you sail forever to get there. It takes forever, And then when you had those dug-in islands that they had to fight through, that sounds so brutal. I think, like European, even though it was horrible, and the discoveries you made were much worse, it probably would have been better.
Yeah.
Like out of the living conditions and stuff in general,
For sure.
But I wouldn't want to have to do it at all.
If cupcakes are miniature cakes,
Okay.
what the hell are muffins?
Breakfast cupcakes.
But then what's the larger version of muffin?
Mega muffin.
They have a different dome, though. They just have bigger muffins, right? The top of the cake is you get that. I don't know what that is. The muffin top.
No, but
you get a muffin top, and that's not what you get on a cake. It's the dome.
Oh, that's hot.
Yeah. It's not a flat cake that you can ice. Right? You get that curvature there.
You just get a bigger muffin.
Yeah, pretty much.
Bigger muffin top.
Man, those cream cheese muffins on Signal Mountain from the bread basket. You ever had those?
Oh God, the bread basket.
It's like the size of a football.
God.
Or at least a big softball.
Go off.
No, it's
Go ahead, bud.
I'm not gonna
Those
say that,
cream
but
cheese
it's
muffins.
divine. It's divine.
This episode's sponsored by.
Okay, Bo, my last question.
All right.
Would you be a master of earth, wind, water, or fire?
I gotta get water.
Water. I'm a water guy too. What's up?
Yeah,
Solidarity.
Right on. There's a lot of water, man. There's a lot of water.
All the way.
Water
You
extinguishes
just gave
fire.
this beautiful eulogy on being one with the water.
Water extinguishes
all the
fire.
way fire, dude.
What about Earth, though?
Water.
No one likes
water
Max.
cars,
Max
water
Ferguson,
cars, earth.
big earth guy.
There's a window right there. One word, defenestrate.
There's water everywhere. It's all good.
Yeah. Airbend. What about airbenders, dude?
I've never
Airbenders are sick.
I've never
They're all
seen
pretty
it.
sick, but there are tiers to it.
That's fair. But you can fly. I'd be an airbender.
Yeah. Air, I get the flying.
Yeah,
thing.
I
That
do
would be
airbender.
really cool. But you
I'd
could
rest
just
myself.
surf along the top of the ocean.
Yeah, that's like
Tidal wave
flying on
forever,
water.
too,
Which is not the same thing at all.
Well,
So,
it's different in its
how do you
own
feel?
good way.
It'd be cool.
All right, Bo.
Okay.
Maybe one of the most important questions
Ever. Ask.
ever
I'm
in the
prepping
history
myself.
Asking.
All right, I'm ready.
that. Explain to our listeners
Hi, listeners.
why we call ourselves the Milkmen.
This is something I've pondered since I received the first email.
I know.
Hmm.
And what have you come up with?
Well, I don't know if it's like an homage to the Dead Milkmen, which would be a nice, like, punk rock kind of thing.
That would be
for
cool
you,
if it
you know?
was, but we're too stupid for that. But
Okay. Do you get up really early? No?
I'm gonna let you just.
I don't
just
know.
Gonna let you
Just make me make it
stumble
up.
through this.
Maybe
Yeah.
make it up. I'm never going to figure it out, so I'll just tell you that. Unless,
Maybe you will.
unless you guys really like milk. Maybe you just have a milk
Maybe
thing,
it's that simple.
right? Maybe you like to take milk baths for all I
Milk
know.
baths.
That's a thing.
You know there are ads on Craigslist for milk baths?
It's a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Is that 2%?
He's like looking for
Probably
a
whole
milk bath.
milk. Probably
Whole
whole
milk. Isn't
Yeah.
that bad for your skin?
I don't know.
I have no clue. There's a lot of fat.
I
in
knew
it.
Are you
someone
saying
who-
we're bad for people's skin, though?
I have never seen your effect on a human being's skin, so I
Okay.
can't say one way or the
I knew
other.
someone who drank whole milk and they died eventually.
No.
Everybody does that.
That's,
Good point.
yeah.
So you're called the Milkmen because
Uh-huh.
we
Oh,
go.
good
Here we
start.
go. Fill in that blank.
you're really good with Nestle Quick in you. Yeah.
I like that.
It could be like the homage to the old basketball player too, right? I can't remember what his whole name was. He was the Milkman. Always delivered.
Wait, that's the mailman, right?
The mailman's
The mailman?
Carl
Who's the
Malone.
mailman? Carl Malone.
Carl Malone, the
You
milkman.
tell I'm not a big basketball fan.
I was always real bad.
The Milkman. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
I don't know. Maybe
Well,
I'm just really
we'll
good with
accept
Nestle Quick in
You
you.
ready to wind it down?
Yeah, we'll wind it down.
All
Bo,
right.
thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having
You've been
me.
a hellaciously good guest.
Well, I hope it doesn't get me fired. So that'll be good.
We'll see. We'll make sure no one from Baylor listens to this.
Yeah,
Okay,
because
ever.
that's something we can do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You won't be fired.
I'm sure I won't be, but you know, podcasting.
But
It's a thing.
if you were fired for this, worth it.
No,
Yeah, but except for the part where, yeah.
except for the part where I lost everything. Right?
Well, we tried. We tried.
We really had something.
But then he would be left with nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just move
Let's
on.
walk it
That's
off.
okay.
We'll wind it down.
Well, I'd like
We've
to
got-
say thanks again for
We've
having
got-
me because it's
we've
a big
got kayaking
deal.
in the future.
Yeah, let's do it.
We've got
I'm not very good
archiving in
anymore.
the future.
Right.
Kayak and
Yeah,
archive.
okay.
Not the last.
Okay.
No.
All right.
Of
Adventure.
boat time.
You got a
Right.
couple. You got a couple books to write.
I do.
You got River
I
Lovin'.
could get on
You
that.
have
River
River
Lovin'.
Lovin'.
It Never Rains After 3 o'clock Part 2. It never rains after. What's a good sequel name?
Not that.
It's
Yeah.
still not
You
raining.
gotta work on that. That's
That
probably
still
your first
doesn't
big
rain.
task.
Right. Yeah.
Still doesn't rain.
It still doesn't rain after 3
That's
o'clock.
good.
Except it does now sometimes.
Yeah,
I think
it does.
school gets closed because of the
We
bad weather.
we canceled practice now at Coach Chamberlain.
Yeah.
All right, one last question to end on.
Yeah.
I need you to close your eyes.
Okay.
Tell me,
Mm-hmm.
what do you think someone listening to this sees in their mind's eye when they picture each of us based solely off of our voices?
Voices.
Not the Yoda voice, though. Everything else.
This voice.
Yeah, so I'm going to say the Yoda voice. Like, whatever they hold in their mind is kind of a really big dork. That's what they're going to see,
Yeah.
right? You know, because you're Yoda voiced.
Yeah.
Right? And the fact, in general, it's probably 3 dorks sitting around because
Probably.
we talked about Star Wars for a long time.
We talked about
Right.
Star Wars for a fat ass.
And that was the
It got
thing.
pretty
But I
heated,
mean,
too.
but Star Wars fans are super cool, right? We're really
Amen.
cool.
Right.
And that's
They're
the
making a
thing. We're
comeback.
top cool. So, I don't know. Maybe a grizzled old veteran teacher, right?
Been in the Pacific.
A young,
Pacific Rim.
like, swaggering adventurer, a incredibly personable and, outgoing thespian.
Ooh.
All right. I'm a thespian.
Yeah.
Thespian.
Thespian.
Yeah.
Thespian, sorry.
Yeah, you're just like an influencer. Like, you're magnetic, right? And then
This. I like this.
a very
Well,
quiet
keep talking.
guy sitting behind a laptop.
Yep.
Yeah, Max.
Right?
That's
Yeah,
me.
Max, right? You know?
We out here.
Big laptop guy.
That's-
Big laptop
that's it.
energy.
What they had no idea was that we were doing this from the rim of the Grand Canyon. Like, we didn't let them
Yeah.
know it at all.
No one knew.
Right?
No
You
one
know,
knew.
it's like the
I was
big
surprised the
reveal,
races
guys,
actually were cool with
on
it.
location.
You ready to
right?
base jump?
Okay, man. As long as the kayaks are waiting for us down there.
Yeah, they're down
All
there.
right. Okay.
It's beautiful out
Let's
here.
do it. Yeah, I love it, man.